What's up? What's up? What's up? Can y'all hear me? Get in here, hit that like button. Wipe y'all feet off. Yes. Come on in here, y'all. We're going to have this discussion. Hold on. I'm eating my dinner, y'all. Give me a second. I don't know if this is going to be a Egyptomaniac conversation. I go wherever y'all want to go at with it, though. Tell you the truth. So, we'll see. We will see. Let me get a little bit more of this salmon up in my system first, though. But how everybody doing? Yeah. Let's get the rolling. Let's get the rolling. Yeah, my peoples is coming in the building. Hey, yo, can y'all hear me? Is my sound good? How I'm sounding? I just came back in the studio room. Okay, I came back in the studio room. I ain't been in here in a while. Boy, been going through some problems a little bit. You know what I mean? Me and my girl beefing. You know, so we actually got two spots, right? We got this house and we got a loft in downtown harbor, Baltimore in the harbor. So, you know, when me and her get the beefing or something go wrong, you know, she'll probably usually stay down there. So my last few shows y'all seen, I've been down there and away from the studio, you know, trying to mend our shit back together. But as soon as I mend that shit back together, I'm getting rid of that apartment. I'm getting rid of the loft. So, you know, neither one of us won't have a place to run to when situation ain't, you know, when something go down. So soon as I on this situation out, I'm deading that place. I'm deading it. We're only gonna have one place and it's gonna save us hella money. Cause that motherfucker expensive. So since I'm staying here tonight, you know, since we staying here tonight, I said I'm gonna go in my studio and spark the computer up and do a show in there. So Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I ain't even tell these niggas we was going live. I just while I was cooking, I just I've been figuring out how to make thumbnails, right? So since I was playing around with the thumbnails on my iPad, I just made a quick thumbnail on my iPad to see if it worked, and it actually worked. The different programs that help you make YouTube thumbnails, right? So I just took a Google image, put some text on it, shot it over to the computer. So it basically worked. You know what I mean? So all right. Got my man Flavor the Plug. What it do? Mongo, what's up? Mr. Rich. Mr. Rich, you want to come on here and argue with me? Tell me I don't know nothing about Africa. Yeah, man. Um, who else we got in here? OG. OG Fishburne, what's good, fam? Raymond Campbell, what's up? Lord King, what it do? Anusha is in the building. No, I don't make music, Lord King. You know what I mean? I don't make music. But the most of the equipment that you use to do a podcast, the top notch equipment, it looks like music equipment. So because it's all audio for real. So that's why a lot of the stuff I use look like it belongs in the music studio. Gideon Block, what it do? S Rush, what up? Yeah, smart man. Yeah, gotta get rid of that spot. Can't have the two spots. Keenan, what's up? Damn, yo said I'm the metal netter. I don't read no metal netter. I think the metal netter is pseudo. I think all that metal netter reading is pseudo, but I like it. I think it adds another component to the argument. But since they use it, I'm gonna start looking into it. You know what I mean? As much as I can. Per Black, what up, Per Black? Per Black, funny as shit, y'all. YouTube 91, what up? What up? Anthony Bowman, what's up? Hey, Anthony, did you see those new pictures from the satellite? God damn. What's the satellite, y'all? The new satellite that we just launched with the gold on it. The goddamn. Shit. I just drew a blank. James Webb, my bad. The James Webb, yeah. Charles Goodwin, what up? Yeah, Anthony, those new pictures that they've been posting from the James Webb, you know what I mean, has been damn. That shit is awesome. For real. Mm-hmm. All right. So I got the Zoom up. S. Rush said Medunet is per lookership. Per Black said I got writing credits for Cisco thong song. Now that shit is hilarious. Hey Charles, I got a new phone, right? This 13 plus or whatever, right? And for some reason, all my applications didn't come over to it. So I just got to put the Discord app on this new phone, and I'll be back in the Discord giving y'all hell. I apologize. Because I definitely want to do a lot of stuff in the Discord. But I think we need a team of people that's going to be dedicated to actually producing the content for the Discord. Because y'all know we can do shows and everything inside the Discord. You feel me? So we can do shows, we can do video conferences, right? And everybody can join it. We can do group phone conversations in the Discord. We can do all that shit in the Discord. So probably once a week, Charles, I want to do a Discord show. You dig what I'm saying? Where we all just tap in, you know what I mean, and build on the Discord. You feel me? Let me get this. Let me get this link. I don't know where the pseudo killer's at, but I gotta find out how to pin the damn what you call it? Invite. Copy invite link. What up, Thunder? I gotta figure out how to copy the pin the link in the chat so it always be in there. But yeah, Mr. Rich, come on in here and give me hell. We got Thunder in the building. We got Thunder in the building. All right. So since we got Thunder in the building, I'm going to switch to phone.
You wasting. That way I be like, what is the point, bro? What? Why are we?
No. In all fairness,
Thunder, what up?
In all fairness, I will give you this too.
What up?
I will make sure that it's in the description as well.
Yo, I don't know.
So that if there's anything that you want to extract from this or scrutinize or anything like that,
y'all hear that,
I'm going to provide it to you.
Oh,
yeah, man. Yeah, it's real loud.
There you go. I just muted it. That's when Sean was going off on I don't know how the hell it's in the loop. Okay. Wagwan. All right, what's going on, Thunder? What's on your mind, bro?
You know the ancient Egyptians had a genome, right?
They don't believe that. Hey, they don't believe it.
Chef, you know they done fucked up, right? I didn't know that.
They say they don't believe the DNA test. It's inconclusive. So
I don't care what they talking about. I'm looking at what that blanket, and both articles said the same thing, Chef. Ancient Egyptian genome. You already know that rocked my work. No, I couldn't even go to sleep hardly last night. I had no clue. I thought that Egyptian was just a culture, you know. That's what I thought. I always thought that. If you adapt to that culture, you live in that region, you're the Egyptian. Fine. They had a genome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't believe it though. They saying, you know, my thing is all science articles, right, talks about his limitations, right? So they take the limitations and the honesty of the article, and they say that means that that they can't use it. Hey, Thunder, you gotta chill out with all the potato chip eating. What's up, Stoopies?
What's up? All right, Sheffrin, I needed to establish this before the conversation starts. What they mean by Africans? Because people are getting confused by the terminology Africans. We all agree that the Egyptians were Africans. We all agree with that. But I think that the word Africans is being interchanged to mean something else when somebody says African or when I say African. So I needed to clarify that for me, please, before we get into any deep discussion.
Oh, hold on. Say that again.
I need you to clarify what they mean by Africans when they say the Egyptians were Africans.
When they say Egyptians were Africans, how you confused about that?
No, I agree that they're Africans.
Oh, okay.
Right, but all right. If I go to Texas and I see some people from Texas and they tell me that they're Americans, I will agree with them. Mm-hmm. Although they might look like they come from South Mexicans. Mm-hmm. If I go to Florida and I see some people and they say that they're Americans, I will agree with them. Although they look like people that come from the Caribbean. Right? If I go to Buffalo and see some people and they say they're Americans, although they are white as snow, I would agree with them. So when they're saying that the Egyptians are Africans, what do they mean? Do they mean it like how we describe the Americans?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, I think when they say the Egyptians are African, I think it's saying that the culture and the people, are African people. You dig what I'm saying? That the culture didn't come from outside of Africa. So if the culture is an African culture, you know what I mean, then you can call it African. If the people are African people, then they are, African people. One thing that we do know that we established is that that Egypt is on the continent of Africa. Do everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Thunder, do you agree that Egypt is on the continent of Africa?
I agree that the continent that is Egypt is on Africa.
It's on Africa. Okay.
to answer Stoopy's question.
Hold on. Let me finish building the parameter.
Yeah.
Right. So if Egypt is on the continent of Africa, then okay, so we established that. So out of the 50-something countries that's on the continent of Africa, Egypt is one of them. So Egypt is African. All right. Then we find that the culture, was produced in Africa. That is an African culture. The culture didn't come from outside of Africa. Meaning, when you look at the architecture of say a modern city in Africa or South Africa, so to say. If you look at South Africa, we know that culture is not African. that's a European culture on the African continent. It's a European language on the African continent that's called Afrikaans. So the culture and the language, originated in Europe. Do you agree with that, Thunder? You've been to South Africa.
Johannesburg, yes.
Okay.
No, both of them. No, Johannesburg is African. Johannesburg is African.
Yeah,
but
the
Cape
culture
Town,
and the language is transported
Cape Town,
from where?
Cape Town. If you go to Cape Town, you would think that, man, it's tough to not think that you're not in South Beach.
Right. So
I'm gonna ask you. That's kind of.
I'm gonna ask you again.
Right.
Is the culture and the language originated where?
No, I agree. No, I'm
in Europe.
I'm saying what you're saying.
All right.
Yeah. So you, like I said, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like if you go there, you think that you're in probably South Beach or I don't know, somewhere in Greece or something.
Okay. So boom.
Jeffrey, before we go further, can I just cut you and ask you?
Go ahead.
If we went back to Cape Town 200 years ago, it would look totally different than it does today.
No, if you look at Cape Town was started by the Dutch and the Portuguese.
Right.
Yeah, so I said if you go back 200 years ago, the land was empty.
I'm talking 500 years ago.
Let's go back
500 years ago. The Dutch.
Let's go back 600 years ago then.
Okay,
if we go back 600 years ago, the culture would have been primarily African based, true or false. It wouldn't be European based because the Dutch wasn't there at that time.
I agree.
Right? Now, can I pull this to Egypt? Egypt is 4,000 years old. Do we all agree with that?
Yes.
Can we all agree with that? 4,000 years old, if not older. Right?
Okay.
Are you telling me that the culture in Egypt was the same 4,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the ancient Egyptian culture, right, was an African culture.
All right, let's go ancient.
Yeah.
Let's go back to 4,000 years.
Yeah.
Between 4,000 and 3,000 years. I give you this a 1,000 year gap. 4,000 and 3,000. Are you saying that it was the same exact culture that was happening between that 1,000 years? I've never seen a culture survive intact anywhere else in the world. Are you saying that the Egyptians were that good to hold their culture intact for 1,000 years?
Well, if you look at the Ghanaians, if you look at West Africa, they're doing a pretty good job of it, don't you think?
But the West Africans were mostly isolated. Let's admit that. The West Africans are mostly isolated.
You can't just move the goalpost, man. That right there kills your argument. The West Africans are definitely maintaining their culture, bro.
Yeah, but you use the isolated people. The Ghanaians were isolated to the north by the Sahara and to the west by the sea, by the Atlantic.
Brother, your premise is that you cannot see a culture maintain itself for over 1,000 years, and I just showed you one.
No, but you showed that.
Change your argument instead of just trying to talk around it.
All right. A country that was in the place that Egypt was, which was the nexus, the middle point of the known world. The middle point of the known world. To maintain its culture for 1,000 years. Where it was, it is surrounded on all sides. To the south by the Nubians, right? To the north by the Europeans, and to the east by what we call the Arabs today. Right? Are you saying to me that culture had remained intact without outside influence?
No, I'm not saying it didn't. None of those cultures, Southern Europe or Arabia or or North Africa, wasn't all influenced each other. over that long period of time, right? So I'm not saying that. I'm saying that from what we have been looking at so far, we see that the Egyptian culture is an African culture, meaning the very basic framework of it, right?
Okay, how do you? Okay, make that argument. See, if that's your argument, go ahead and back that argument up. Like, what's a similar culture, African culture, that would is synonymous with Egyptian culture that's in Africa right now?
Not right now. All of them have changed
just
because
anytime,
of the herb.
anytime, yeah.
In ancient, you have Libya, right, to the west, and you have Nubia to the south.
Mm-hmm.
So you think those cultures were
similar
roughly
to Egypt,
or
yeah.
similar?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, no problem.
You know what I mean? The kingship, all of that. If you look at their symbols and you know what I mean, you know the use of the written language was all based off the hieroglyphic symbols and you know what I mean. So yeah, Nubia and Libya. You know the two countries in Africa that's adjacent to it had a similar culture as Egypt.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But Western Asia didn't. You feel me?
Let me ask you this: is the Libyan culture the same?
No.
Now it's changed too.
Yeah. Well, Libya. You got to remember, the Romans had Roman North Africa. Thunder, you doing a lot of lifting, and you must be rearranging your bedroom right now.
Oh, sorry. Let me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we remember the Romans. Well, hold on. Well, at the same time as the Romans or the the Greeks, the Romans, and the what you call them, the Phoenicians, the people from Syria came into North Africa, right, and set up enclaves. So,
right.
But that they influenced North Africa also.
But Jeffrey, wouldn't you agree if I said to you, when the Greeks conquer Egypt golden age had come to an end? With the introduction of the Greek meant that the end of Egypt golden age, because they were now ruled by the Greeks, Cleopatra family. So when we talk about Egyptians, we cannot include the Greeks or the Romans, because after the Greek it was the Romans. So when we talk about ancient Egypt in terms of the culture, the African culture, we now have to reference from the inception to the Greeks.
It still will be 3,000 years worth of continuous history before outside invasion, right? Because you have the first dynastic dynastic Egypt started at 3,400 or 3,100 BC, depending on what scholar you want to use.
Right.
So I don't think it was conquered into.
And when did the Greek overtake? When the Greek took over Egypt, 500 BC, or 200 BC, 300 BC.
I think it was around 300.
300 BC.
Yeah, I think it was around 300.
So when did the Romans take over Egypt?
I think it was right after them. Let me look. Let's look.
I give the Romans 300 BC. I give the Greek 500 BC.
No, I don't think the Romans was BC. Greek invasion.
Because the Romans were in Egypt before Christ, according to the Bible story.
The Romans conquered Egypt in 332 BC.
332. So 300 BC. I was right.
Yeah.
And the Greek was there. The Greek was there 200 years before that.
No,
Because
that's
the
the
Greek was
Greek. That's the Greek
that's the Greek.
invasion. Yeah.
When the Romans took over.
The Romans is after the Greeks. Remember that's
All right. Okay, so we give Egypt 2,000 golden age of Egypt 2,700 years because the Greeks and the Romans didn't build any pyramids.
The
None of the pyramids.
Romans conquered Egypt in I think 240 AD.
240.
Yeah.
240 AD.
Hold on, no, I'm wrong.
No. The Romans were in Egypt long before that.
30 BC.
Early BC, the Romans were in Egypt before Christ.
Yeah, 30 BC.
It's a 30 BC.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So and the Romans and the Greeks weren't building any pyramids. We don't have any of the enormous architecture. They might have built temples, but we don't see the pyramids built during that time. So when the Greek conquered Egypt in 300 BC,
Egypt was already 3,000 years old.
It was already 2,800, 3,000 years old. But it has come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we can't say it come to an end before that. Because the Greeks were there before they conquered Egypt. The culture was changing. Because what was the Greek historian name that said he was in Egypt and he knows what the Egyptians look like? And he said that the Egyptians were black. What's his name again?
Which one? Herodotus?
Herodotus, right. Herodotus described the Egyptians as being black. But black compared to who? Compared to him, who was a Greek white person. Everybody who darker than him, we call them black.
Okay.
But unless him compare them to say they were the color of this mahogany, we'd have said, okay. But he didn't say that. Right? But my problem is that we're coming back to the same circular argument that we had a couple months ago. When we said the Egyptians are Africans. When you tell me African, the picture of West African come to my mind. The picture of a West African come to my mind.
Hey, Stu P, let me ask you this right here. Do you consider, like I said, I've gone to South Africa, I'm buying property there. I look to move there real soon.
Yeah.
When you look at the occupants of South Africa, right? Do you consider those Africans? And I'm not talking about the Africans. I'm talking about the other people.
You're an asshole for asking me that question.
You see how I did that? Exactly. Now,
you're an asshole for asking me that question.
Of course.
All right. If you carry a pig into a cow pen.
No, let's start with the question. I'm gonna let you do your analogy, but I need you to answer that question first. Do you consider the people in Cape Town, in Johannesburg, other than the Africans, do you consider those Africans?
No, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you. When the Dutch came to South Africa, they still hang on to their culture. The culture is what you are. So even if in America, if we have people who profess to be Americans, but they're still holding on to the Germanic culture, how can we call them Americans? Culturally, they're not Americans. Culturally, they're German. If you hold on to your culture, right, because you have to incorporate into the culture of what is called American to become an American. You cannot carry a culture. Basically, what you are now is an embassy within a country. Not a physical embassy, but an embassy of people. You still have your culture. So your country, you basically take your culture from where it originates from and put it somewhere else. And the Dutch, who are there for 500 years, hang on to their own culture, develop a language called Afrikaners, right? So they separated themselves from the South Africans from day one, and they've always been separate. They're only calling themselves Africans now because it is their best interest to secure the land. But prior to that, they celebrated their culture. Right? You understand what I'm saying?
I think I bothered you with that whole my question. That one question is enough to get that whole argument out of here, in my opinion.
So you call them Africans? Are they Africans?
I'm asking you. Do you consider?
No, I don't consider them Africans because they're not culturally Africans.
All right, cool.
If you're not culturally a thing, it cannot be a thing.
Do you consider the modern day Egyptians as African?
The reason why it's different with the modern day Egyptians is because there's no such thing as a modern day.
About me, I need you to answer the question first. Answer the question first, then go into your explanation.
Yes.
Do you consider the modern day Egyptians as African?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
The reason why I consider them Africans, because how many years they're there, the culture that is there is one that they have developed there. So it's an African, it's a culture that has been organically developed in Africa. It wasn't transposed from somewhere else. It was developed there. So if the culture is developed there, you have to respect it because they come from.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of the Egyptians referring to themselves as Africans?
I've spoken to Egyptians, and I've asked them that question. I've met Egyptians. When I went to Disney World, I met a group of Egyptians. About 7 of them were having a conversation. And honestly,
okay, let me ask you before you do the conversation.
They don't even respect the pyramid. They only see the tourist side.
Listen, stupid. How they look? How those people you met? How they look to you?
They look like
they look Egyptian then.
Honestly, no. The ones that I met have a Halle Berry look. They look mixed.
They have what?
A Halle Berry look. A Halle Berry look.
Okay.
They look like the same kind of nose and the same kind of color. They have a Halle Berry look.
Would you put them in the Chevron Halle Berry?
So they look like Halle Berry?
Lighter?
Yes, the ones that I met, they look like Halle Berry. They have that, the skin color was that color. The one exceptionally clear.
Goddamn.
That's light. That's light skin, eh?
Yes.
I mean, Halle Berry still look black though.
Oh no, I got it.
Halle Berry only look black because they have a Meghan Markle look. Meghan Markle. Everybody are using something that everybody can picture and visualize. Think about Meghan Markle. They have that look.
All right. Okay, stupid. Let's do this. Those Meghan Markles, right? Let's look at all those Meghan Markles you was looking at. Do you consider those Africans? Yes or no?
Yes, because
I mean, it's tough to listen.
Yes, because I've been brainwashed by the one drop rule.
Oh, listen, no, don't do that.
That's a good point, CBs. No, listen to what he said. He's been brainwashed by the one drop rule. Think about that, Thunder. That's the most racist goddamn thing ever put on a group of people.
Come on, one drop of black blood.
Yeah, it means that our shit contaminates you.
They look at it as a bad thing, not a good thing.
Exactly.
No. The reason why I say I've been brainwashed by it, and I use it as it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing.
So the Egyptians were black to you because they look like Halle Berry.
They were black to me because by association, we call Halle Berry black. We call Mariah Carey black. We call Meghan Markle black.
Stupids.
Okay.
Stupids. This is what I'm asking. Meghan Markle. You talk to a bunch of Meghan Markles, right? Do you consider that group of Meghan Markle that you talk to? I'm sorry. Do you consider those?
Yo, you gotta get back to the mic, Thunder. You sound like you in the back.
Yo, then went to the bathroom.
You done went. Yeah, he in the bathroom. You know, left out the house or
No,
something.
step away from my mic.
Megan.
Can y'all hear me now? I'm sorry.
Megan Markle.
Yeah. Those Egyptians, those Meghan Markle Egyptians. Do you consider those Meghan Markle Egyptians as Africans?
Yes.
All right, there it is. Okay.
Yes. All right. And but I don't consider the Dutch in Cape Town Africans. Because if we look at the Dutch in Cape Town and the Meghan Markle in Egypt, I will ask which one of these two peoples are Africans. We'd have to give the nod to the Egyptian before we give it to the Dutch in Cape Town. Especially with the culture that the Dutch in Cape Town have.
Listen. What this is the argument, right? I always try to make great arguments. If you're going to say that the
Afrikaners, the Dutch in Cape Town,
if you're going to say those Africans are Afrikaners are Africans, then you will have to say.
But I did not say that Afrikaners are African. If you said to me, if I said to you that the Dutch, I did not say that.
Now we're talking. Right. So in your mind, those Africans
are not Africans.
Are
not Africans.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk
no,
not African,
not.
Right? Exactly. So now, why do you consider the Egyptians African?
Because the culture developed in Egypt. The culture that they have.
Okay, if Elon Musk developed, if he followed a African culture, will he be an African at that point?
But he cannot do it individually. And Elon Musk.
If Elon Musk was a practicer of the Vodou culture, would he be an African?
But you cannot use culture like that because culture is a group dynamics, not an individual dynamic.
Hey, let's do.
No, you
let's
cannot use an individual.
Go do the Q&A now.
Culture is accumulated
what I'm doing
dynamics.
is asking questions that kills your argument. Does Elon Musk, the Vodou practicing Elon Musk, born in Africa, his parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, born in Africa, he practices the Vodou culture. Is he an African?
No, he's not. He's not because culture is not an individual thing.
But if he was born there though, he would be African, right, Snoopy?
No.
No, not according to him. But the Egyptians are African.
No.
I mean, because if we're born in America, we're still American. So,
if you were, let's say you were Chinese. Let's say you were Chinese. And although you were born here, your culture is Chinese. Everything about you, what you practice is Chinese. It has nothing to do with the American culture. Should I consider you American?
I say, yeah, if you was born here in America.
So what you're saying that to be born someplace will definitely make it that place. So if somebody went to if mom and dad went to Antarctica and have you, are you saying that you'd be an Antarctican or you would be an American?
I mean, I don't know about the Antarctican rules, man.
No. We're just choosing a place. Mom and dad went to Greenland. I had you in Greenland. Are you saying you're a Greenlandian or are you American?
I mean, based on how American rules work, if you're born in America, you're an American, right? So if the same thing works for
no. But all right, let's move it to England. If two Americans go to England and have a child, that child is not English. That child is considered American. Not because you're born. The only way that child can be considered English in England is unless one of your parents is of English origin. That is how immigration is in a lot of countries. You don't get citizens by birthright. America is one of the few countries that give you citizens by birthplace.
Mm-hmm.
Go somewhere else around the world and look at citizenship. So because we're accustomed to how Americans give citizenship, we feel that because a person is born in a particular place, they are now a member of that society.
So you don't think a Chinaman could be African?
There we go. Good question, my brother.
A Chinaman cannot be African.
Oh, I think you're wrong on that one.
That's crazy.
And I'm just kind of getting in the conversation, but I think you're wrong on that one. But I can.
No, let's start over. Let's start over. We got a man from Asia let's just say his parents moved to his folks moved to Africa in the 1500s.
Yeah.
All throughout life, they maintained their bloodline. They've gone
and the culture,
Asian,
and the culture,
they've gone,
the Chinese
they've
culture.
they've gone Asian to Asian to Asian. They maintain.
I'm not talking about the bloodline. It's the culture that they have.
Maintain. Okay, fine. What if they, like I told you, what if they adapt to African culture? I just said that. What if Elon Musk practiced the Boldoon culture? He was born in Africa. He's practicing the African culture. At that point, he would be an African, right?
All right. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to say something controversial now.
Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to say something really controversial now. You ready for this?
Yourself,
the most controversial thing that I'm ever going to say.
Help yourself.
Ashkenazi is not an American.
Ashkenazi is not American. Okay, why?
He's not an American. Culturally, he's still a Jew. Not only from religion, but culturally, he's still a Jew. And
okay,
when he's ready,
do we have
no,
right
now? And when he is ready, he can go home to Israel.
Do we have Jewish Americans?
We call them Jewish Americans. We call them Jewish Americans. But if culturally they're still practicing what they've always practiced, they're not. They're just no, they're not. It's culture making a person. Not your color, not where you're born. It's culture making that thing.
Stupid. Let me ask you this: those Chinese people over there in Jamaica, right? That owns all those Chinese stores and all that stuff. Are those Jamaicans?
You have two sets of Jamaicans. You have Chinese Jamaicans and you have new Jamaicans.
But they
so
Jamaican.
No.
Let him kill himself.
Let me explain this.
Don't butt in. Let him kill himself.
Let me explain this because unless I am back home and I have lots of Jamaican friends who are Chinese. And I need anybody to ask you this. I need you to ask anybody who have a Jamaican friend who is Chinese, ask him in color. I have many Chinese friends who, when them up here and them filling out the census, you know what a lot of them used to put on it? Black. Because culturally, no, ask them. If you don't believe me, it's something that I've realized. Ask them. This is knowledge now. What happened is that those Chinese who migrated in the 1800s to Jamaica have now become culturally Jamaican.
All right, now, so you acknowledge those Asian, people of Asian descent as Jamaicans, right? You do that, right?
They don't speak the language. The language that they speak is English.
Listen, you acknowledge those Asians
Jamaican. They contribute to the Jamaican food. The ones that were there from the 1800s.
You acknowledge those Asians as Jamaicans. That's correct, right?
And the Indians, though. We can use the Asian and the Indians.
Because they're not I'm going to play whatever game you want to play, right? I'm cool with wherever you want to move, right?
They're not. I'm using two groups, two major groups.
Are those Asian people, do you consider those people Jamaican?
Not the new ones, the older ones who were there from the 1800s, who are now culturally Jamaican.
The 1800 Asians, those are Jamaican.
Yes,
the new ones, they're not.
Jamaican. No, they're not.
All right. Now, in arguments, you have to have some level of consistency. Do you believe that you're exhibiting that level of consistency right now? Yes,
because my argument is based on if your culture is distinct from the culture of the place that you are not a member of that family.
Okay, let's do this. I want you to give me 2 or 3 sentences. State your argument right now. State your argument. Go ahead.
This is my argument. Let me make it clear to everybody. My argument is that if you're culturally distinct from the general population, you are not a part of that population and cannot be deemed a member of that population.
Okay. Now, if Elon Musk is a part of the African culture, he practices the African culture that we recognize or that has been coined as Vodun. We know this originated in Africa. We know that the tenants are African. We know this, and we know he was born in Africa. By your definition, if you're going to remain consistent in your argument, would that be considered an African?
No, because again, what you are breaking down culture to is an individual. And culture is not individual. Culture has to do with group dynamics. No one person can go into a place. I can go into the jungles of Brazil and start dressing like them, acting like them, and eating like them as an individual. That don't make me them, because I'm one individual. Not because I have colonized your culture, make me a part of you. Culture is not an individual thing. Culture is a group thing.
So your argument is, okay, well, I don't know how you could do that, brother, because we have people here. We have African. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that all African Americans have the same culture?
The similarities outnumber the dissimilarities.
Right, but are they the same?
No two individuals is the same, but the similarities of
cultures.
Yes.
Cultures. Do you believe that all or most, the majority of African Americans have the same culture?
Because the similarities outweigh the what they have in similar, what they have in common.
What's the similarities, yo?
What's the similarities?
Yes. What makes me similar to Sheffield right now? Tell me.
We have. All right, let's start. First thing, let's start with belief system.
Now, what makes us similar to like a China American?
A Chinese American. A Chinese American.
All right, let's do this.
Okay. What makes all Americans similar? Since you can group it that way, what is an American? That's the question you're going to ask me next. Because if you ask me, what make a Chinaman a Chinese American? What makes an American? Who is an American?
What is a Jamaican? It's tough, man. You put yourself in a real tough position, bro. You put yourself in a real tough position. Go ahead, man. What's the Jamaican?
I could use the simple answer.
Let's do what Unc did. Let's do what Unc did yesterday. What makes a Jamaican a Jamaican?
All Jamaicans share similar culture, similar food, similar religion, similar experiences, similar likes in music. Right? They develop their own music. They develop their own trends. It's part of what you're asking me. What is your culture? That is what makes you culturally. So therefore, if we are culturally similar, we are this, and we belong to one group, we can say we are the same. Right? All Americans are almost culturally similar. They enjoy the same thing. They enjoy the same sports. They enjoy similar foods. Right? America is too young of a nation with too much different population for bubble down. I would say it's this, and directly. But it has certain similarities and commonalities. If you see it, you know it. That is what culture is. Culture come like, you can't make an elephant an elephant. But when you say elephant, you know it. You know that that's an elephant. So you're asking me to describe something that it is maybe you ask 1,000 people, you get 1,000 different definitions. But one thing everybody can agree with: when you see it, you know it. When an American comes to Jamaica, whether they want to be black or white, when you see him, you know him, you can identify him. He's culturally distinct from the people that are there. when a Jamaican walk through, when you see him, you know him. If you're adept to looking at Jamaicans. Hello? Am I off?
No, you you got it.
Yeah, when you see him, you know him. Your culture.
I mean, probably a little bit in your speech, but you're not off still.
Yeah. But Askel.
Peace.
You know Chinese Jamaican? You know Jamaicans who have Chinese descent? You know any?
Me do.
Yeah, you do, right?
Yeah, one of my best friend was is a Chinese Jamaican.
How him describe himself?
She
How she describe herself?
as a Jamaican.
She have anything culturally with the Chinese? She know anything about the Chinese culture?
I wouldn't say so because
So she don't describe herself as
I wouldn't
Chinese?
say that. Let me speak English so everybody understand. I wouldn't say that because her Chinese parent died when she was a child. So she basically lived with the Jamaican parent or parentage. So yeah, her culture was straight Jamaican, even though she was Chin. So what I'm saying is like, yeah, even though her name is Chin and she's Chinese, like she's Chinese and black, like she's mixed. So what I'm saying is like she identify herself as a Jamaican. What I'm getting at those stupid, right?
Yeah.
If listening to you, that's why I came on. Listening to you, I'm observing your speech and your sound kind of double tongue. And when you're
of course he does.
yeah, because the questions that are posed to you, your responses are like lopsided, like you got one foot in the water and one on the sand. What I'm saying is like why I said that is like in one instance when I'm asking about Elon Musk, if he practiced voodoo and blah 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 blah, you know he was born in Africa, right? So he asked you if he would be considered African.
And I said no.
And you said no.
And I said no.
Because what? Because he's a European, right?
Because an individual cannot determine their culture. One individual cannot determine their culture. Because the parents that you were grown with were
one individual is living in Africa as what we would call a white African.
He's living in South Africa with a Dutch culture.
So this
he
how you know it's a Dutch culture?
He had a friend named Chin.
How you know it's a Dutch culture?
He had a friend named Chin. He has a friend named Chin that he considers. Or
no, she considers herself a Jamaican.
A Jamaican,
yeah, of course.
Right. She
listen.
I'm sorry.
Listen, you asked him what makes a Jamaican a Jamaican, right?
I did.
Culture, bro. That's culture. It's one word. That's culture. You don't have to delve into anything. Just tell him culture because it involves the language, how we talk, how we dress, how we eat.
That's what I said. You
feel me? The religion part now have nothing to do with it. Hold on. Religion part now have nothing to do with it because religion is personal. You have Rasta, you have Hindu, you have... he said religion.
I said
religion. He said religion.
The primary religion.
Right, yeah. That now have nothing to do with it. The culture though. The culture though.
That's
right?
What I said.
But you know religion... But you can't... You know religion is part of culture.
Yeah, but it's personal. And then, listen. If you live in a dynamic, right, where you have various religion really, you'd have to group all the religions that's a part of that culture. You can't just say like one. You know, you can't say. And then the way he worded it, he said all Jamaicans have similar religion, which we don't have. We don't.
Let me change it. I can't say the majority of your culture practice a primary religion.
Yes.
Let me rephrase it.
Yes,
the majority of your culture practice a primary religion. You have.
So let's do this.
Yes.
Let's do this. So Chin, my brother here, his friend, Chinese Jamaican.
Right.
She considers herself Jamaican.
Right.
You say that you have friends. You know people who are Chinese Jamaican. Let me
rephrase it.
I know Stupid on his point. And that because he said they consider themselves black. consider themselves Jamaican.
Right. Let me rephrase it. I have
Go ahead.
Jamaicans of Chinese descent. You have Jamaicans. You have white Jamaicans too. You have
That make it
Jamaicans
worse.
of European descent.
Okay, let's do this. Let me start over. Let's start over, right?
So you call them Jamaican?
Hold on. Let's start over. So let's start over, Stupid. Hold on, Stupid. Let's start.
It's
Hold on, Thunder.
It's Matalana Jamaican. It's Matalana Jamaican. It's Matalana Jamaican.
Is not a Jamaican or what?
No. Is Matalan. Joseph Matalan. Is he a Jamaican? The Matalan.
Bro, I know a lot of white Jamaicans. Trust me.
Okay.
Culturally Jamaican. No, and I'm not when I say yes, exactly. People were born there and live there all of them life. Them culture is Jamaican, them eat Jamaican, them talk like we, the patois, racha, everything. Right? Would you consider them Jamaican, yes or no?
The Jamaicans who have been there and who have adapted the culture, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
A person who born there. No, I'm not talking about like 100 years. Them did it, bro. I'm talking about probably their mother and their father just moved to Jamaica. Them born in Jamaica, but them adapt Jamaican culture.
No.
Would you consider them a Jamaican?
No.
Okay.
No. Because I've known people like that also. No.
So what you call them?
Stupid.
Hold up. For the people that just joined, though, y'all gotta let them know what y'all talking about. Like, what is the disagreement? What is the subject? Like, what y'all talking about?
I am saying that.
But I think we're mixing ethnicity with nationality.
Right.
So there needs to be a separation with what is a person's nationality from what a person's ethnicity
let's start
is
from the rip, man.
And what a person's culture is.
Let's start from the rip. So this all came up when he asked, Stupid asked a question. Are the Egyptians Africans, right? Or something along those lines.
Right.
And then he went in to say that he met some Halle Berry,
Meghan
Markle.
Looking Egyptian.
Yeah, they're Africans. At the end of the day, they're Africans.
And I asked him, do you consider those people Africans? He said yes. All right, cool. Now, do you consider the people in Cape Town, which we know aren't Africans, do you consider those Africans? He said no.
And I said no.
Okay, fine. Let me establish an argument, brother. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
So now we go to Elon Musk. No, he says that culturally, as a group, there has to be a group. It can't be just one or two people. It has to be a group. And if that group is adapts a certain culture, then they'll consider whatever that culture is, whatever that nationality is. So now let's go to Elon Musk. Elon Musk people have been there for over 400-500 years.
Right. But they have been distinct in their culture. The culture wasn't organically developed in South Africa. It was introduced from the Dutch.
Fine. Let's go with that. So let's go with now. Let's break up the hypothetical. If Elon Musk had developed a culture that was African centered, African origins, we're talking about, and I brought up Boldoon. Would you consider a white person that adapts the culture of the Boldoon people? The Boldoon culture. Would you consider that person or those set of people African then? He also said no. So now the confusion, and that's why my brother came on and said, of course he's double tongued, and he is.
No. This is why I said no. This is why I said no. Let me make it clear. Because the culture that he's primarily exposed to, let's say orphan child as a baby, who never exposed to, let's say I take a child from America as a baby, who was never exposed to the American culture, and I move him to South Africa. Although he was not born in South Africa, but no, he's culturally South African, I will call him an African. Because the only culture he was exposed to, his primary culture, is African culture. So I would call him an African. But if Elon Musk had children in South Africa with the voodoo, and they were their primary culture now is voodoo, I would call them an African. That is what I'm saying.
Still peas.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Yeah.
You think there is nobody that's of that particular group, as you'd call them, that don't practice African culture?
What for the ones who do? For the ones who do,
like speak like African, like speak like the Africans there, I would say. Eat like the Africans there. Just like the same culture. They're culturally
just
inclined.
Say you got a vanilla
They're
ice.
just the same way like how we are talking about the white Jamaicans.
Right. You got let's just say you got vanilla ice over here, right? You got an obvious Caucasian who never been to the hood, dressed like MC Hammer. You got Elvis, right? You know what I'm saying? You got that, right? So would you consider that person black? Or like I said, he came from Spain. No, but would you consider him? No, listen. If he came from Spain and he was a white guy, came from Spain, he dressed like MC Hammer, he eat hamburgers. Would you consider him American?
No, I consider him a culture vulture. I consider him a culture vulture. Look,
we see.
I would consider him a culture vulture. Okay, look. A new Jamaican who come to America. He might
those
be
Jamaicans that we see smoking marijuana with the dreadlocks, and they got the big Jamaican hat on with the dreadlocks up under them. Are you telling me that are those culture vultures at this point, Stupees?
If this is it.
Damn, boy, you killing yourself tonight.
No. Let me explain culture vulture. If I have children, no first generation Jamaican can truly call themselves an American because they're still embracing the culture, a different culture. So no first generation. You see, Askel 45 in the room here with me, he is American by citizenship. That's the only thing he's American with. But culturally, he's not American. And I asked him to deny that fact. Askel, are you culturally American?
Not U.S. American.
Hmm?
I said he not U.S. American.
He's naturalized American, but culturally he's not an American. If we're supposed to be honest.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying, not U.S. American. I still, me personally, I still consider Jamaica part of Americas. But it's not U.S. American, but it's still part of colonial Americas. You know what I'm saying?
You're from the islands?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I got roots. I got particular roots from the islands, but I know I understand history. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like, if you look at the oldest maps of the Americas, it's showing the Caribbean and South America.
Yeah, I know, I understand that, but culturally, if we break down it in individual cities,
that's why I said U.S. America. You know, that's why I said U.S. American culture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but culture is not.
When you just saying America, this is you just talking about two continents.
Oh yeah, but
and then America is like a different dynamic anyway.
Yeah, but culturally, you are not U.S. American. You are not U.S. American. Culture determines that you are what you are. That's honesty. I can be honest with the ADOS argument, with the ADOS and the FB argument, because culturally, unless you embrace the culture, right, and your descendant went through similar things within the culture. Culturally, you're not them. It takes many generations for a group of people to become that culture. Not one generation, not one person born today and say, I am now an American. But yet still, you're not
of course not. It's like that.
I don't agree with that at all. If
it don't take long for a Jamaican to become a U.S. American. Like, I mean, come on now. Like,
exactly. I don't know what you talking about.
You could be adopted. I mean, white motherfuckers adopt Jamaicans and shit all the damn time. They, you know what I'm saying? Don't know what
but I made concession for that. I made concession that if a child is not exposed,
you know how many niggas from Brooklyn? You know how many niggas from Brooklyn? There's they parents from Jamaica, bro, and they straight
from
up
Puerto Rico and all that stuff. Come on, man.
Would you say that they're culturally American? All of those Puerto Ricans and Jamaicans in Brooklyn, they're culturally
Haitians
American.
too. Yeah.
And Haitians.
Some of them.
Are you saying that they're culturally Americans now? That's what you're saying to me?
Some of them, yes, bro. Some of them have not Jamaican culture in them. Some of them have not Asian culture in them. Some of them have no Puerto Rican culture in them. Them grow up American, bro.
And the mother and father was Asian?
Even though the parents
got Caribbean background shit.
Even though the parents is that, bro, them don't embrace that shit. Them embrace the American culture. Them don't embrace what them parents embrace.
Okay,
come on, Stoopies. You know these kids are not.
I will take the L for that. If you all say that these Puerto Ricans born in America, Puerto Ricans and American states, and these Jamaicans born in
we're not saying all of them are Stoopies, but we are saying that they are.
Are you saying the majority?
No,
some of our
ancestors saying that either.
Some of our ancestors
I've not done.
Look,
bro, I'm not going to say any statistics because I don't know any statistics to say that the majority is or the majority isn't. What I'm saying is that there are people that are and there are people that aren't.
Let me ask you this, Stoopy. Let me ask you this.
Have me personally know people that,
right?
Huh?
Have you ever come to America and you see a person from, let's just say from Ethiopia, right? You have a certain segment that say that they're from Ethiopia. Like, where you from? I'm from Ethiopia. But you also have a certain segment that say, I'm an American. Now, maybe you have something to say that say they're Ethiopian, but you also have a certain segment that say they're American. And I'm sure New York or anywhere else is the same way. You go to LA, you got a bunch of Puerto Ricans and Mexicans and all the other stuff. And you'll have some that say Mexican, but you'll have a lot of them that say they're Americans.
Yep.
Yeah,
you
got East Asians all on the West Coast.
It's different. It's different now. It's a different time. We can't like put this shit that we live in the past. Like it's a total. People mix up all over the globe right now, bro. It wasn't like that back then.
You're telling me that those Mexicans that cross the border in and come to the United States, that cross the Rio Grande and come to the United States, but still hold on to the Mexican culture.
Bro, I live in Texas.
Are you calling those people Americans?
Yeah, I live in Texas, bro. Some of them motherfuckers already here. They just blew my mind.
So are you saying to me that the American culture is no Mexican culture?
Mexico and part of California was Mexico, bro. Like they just drew a fucking line. Like, come on now. It's still American culture, North American culture. Mexico is in North America, bro.
So they're culturally American then?
Yes. Just like a Korean and a fucking Chinese are both Asian. Just like an Indian is Asian. Yes, they're on the same continent.
I'm not talking about
Stoopies. Hold on, Stoopies. Hold on, stick a pin. When you say Mexican, bro, and you talk about American culture, you gotta watch it. Watch it.
Okay. All right.
You gotta watch it.
I know, because the dynamics and Mexico was
yes, sir.
200 years ago.
Not just that. Just look how immersed the Mexican culture is in America, bro. You got Taco Tuesday, dude. What are you talking about?
The original cowboys. They're the real cowboys. Western.
Come on, man.
Okay,
it's a part of the American culture just as much as the hamburger is, bro.
Okay.
You feel me?
In Pompano. All right, let me use this example. In Pompano, right now, Pompano is a city in Florida for those people who don't know. Pompano has the highest number of Russians and Ukrainian immigrants. Right? They still go to the Russian restaurant. They still eat Russian food, right? They still hold on to the Russian language.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that these people are American?
No.
I bet you. I bet you they. I bet you they
Listen,
children are. I bet you they children.
But hold on. No, hold on. No.
This argument was debated. No, let me stop. Let me cut it. Please. Let me finish this.
Yeah.
Please. Let me finish. This argument was debated by people greater than me. And it resulted in 1940, the Japanese American internment camp. This argument that I'm having now resulted in the Japanese American internment camp. When people are culturally different than the people that's in a state, when a time of crisis arises, if your culture is different, if you're practicing a foreign culture, you're seen as a foreign person, and you can be snatched away and placed in internment camp. I never met this argument. It's an argument that was made for me. So if you want to disagree, all of us will say the Japanese internment camp was wrong, but other people say culturally those people were still Japanese. And as a result of that, they were placed in internment camp.
All right,
what about the Chinese? What about the Chinese that's in Jamaica?
Yeah, but hold on. Before
hey, hold on, Gideon. Hold on, Gideon. Hey, bro, Reggie, man, ain't no disrespect, man. I don't know who said that about your scholarship, but you know we respect you over here, man. But you're welcome to come on and address that. But go ahead, Gideon.
Yeah, so Stupies, you talking about Russian right now, right? Russia, and you talking about China or Japan? Sorry, Japan. We're talking about Mexico, bro.
Yeah, no. I take back Mexico because Mexico was
okay.
I take back Mexico.
Okay. All right.
I take back Mexico. I have to take
that's like totally different. Right?
Yeah, I have to take back Mexico because nearly a third of America was Mexico up to 200 years, up to 100 years.
This is like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Brazilian jiu-jitsu is basically Americana culture, you know, because it was formed here. It was formed in this hemisphere.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like North American culture, United States of America culture. That's the culture I was talking about. The culture what I'm talking about, because when it comes to culture is
you know that culture is very diverse, right?
Yeah, it's a diverse culture. But the thing about it is that if you see it, you know it. If you see a Chinese American, an American that is of Chinese descent anywhere around the world, even when he goes to China and he looks like everybody in China, culturally, he's distinct from the people that are there.
He creolized. It's called creolization, bro. Like
right. So he's culturally different. Even though he looks exactly like the people there, culturally he's different. That's identified.
That's even a root term for the term Creole, like from the Portuguese. Like when they was on the coast of West Africa, you know, and they was settling and coming back, you know, to the mainland of Portuguese and Spain. You know what I'm saying? They was coming back, you know, mixed, and some of them, you know, see some ones that wasn't totally mixed. They was coming back speaking, you know, their language with, you know, different, you know, but different pidgins. Like they have like African tones, different languages into the Portuguese. So they was something a little different than actual Portuguese or Spanish people. So they call them Criollos. You know what I'm saying? Foreign born.
Because culturally they were no longer Portuguese. Culturally they were something else. But if they remain and stay the same and true to the original culture, Portuguese, and they went to the Canary Islands, we would still be referring to them as Portuguese. There's an island off Africa where some beautiful girls come from. The girl who had the baby for Wiz Khalifa. What's Wiz Khalifa's baby mother name? Amber Rose. Where's Amber Rose from?
Cape Verde.
The Cape Verdeans consider themselves Portuguese up to this day.
Yeah, they speak Creole Portuguese. It's like Creolized.
Any of them, they tell you that they're Portuguese. So
not all the time. Not all the time, bro. Because you even had you do have some that still recognize their African roots. Like you even have a famous opera singer. Her name was Cicevera Ivera, and she definitely acknowledged her African roots in her music.
Right.
You know what I'm
saying? She's an abnormality to the majority of people there. Because the majority of people here still consider themselves Portuguese.
Yeah, because they got the caste system there. But you still have populations that's still mostly like African descendant, like kind of like how the same dynamic you have in like Cuba or Puerto Rico. You got a mixture. You know what I'm saying? The things you're different, and you had different caste systems and shit there too.
Right. So culturally they're Portuguese, although they're thousands of miles from Portugal. So a physical place.
But culturally, you just can't give it all to Portuguese. This is a creolized culture. Culturally, they Portuguese, and culturally they have African cultures in them too.
But how they see themselves? How they see themselves?
You say how they see themselves?
Yes. How the majority of them see themselves as Portuguese?
Yeah. You right about that. Yeah. But shit.
So that is what I'm saying.
Shit, that shit ain't always right though. Shit.
So that is what I'm saying. I'm saying although people can be physically in a place, the Ashkenazi in America is only in America because America provided safety and security for them. If Egypt didn't exist at the end of World War II, if Egypt didn't exist before World War II, if they had an established state before World War II, most of them, the majority of them, would be in Israel. I mean, if Israel did exist prior to World War II, most of them would be in Israel. Culturally, they're in America, but culturally, they're still Jewish Israeli. But that's not a conversation people want to have because it speaks too much to what it is. Culturally, you, my brother, is in America, but culturally, you would consider yourself an African. You embrace your African culture. So although people say I'm American, although Thunder will say I'm American, culturally Thunder want to embrace this African culture. He still have rights to it, because part of it was passed down to him through his parents, his grandparents, and everybody else.
Yeah. Everybody, like, that's the effects of colonialism. You have what they call colonial mentality.
Yeah. Okay. Hello? So y'all got that situated.
Yeah, it's situated. I'm situated with it.
Thunder, you all right? Everybody good?
Thunder don't agree with me. Thunder say
he went
if
to
you're
sleep?
born in a place, you're a part of that place. Culture say we are Americans. If you decide that you're culturally American and you embrace the American culture, you're American. I have no problem with that. But you cannot be in South Africa with a Dutch culture, speaking of foreign language, Afrikaners, living like how you would live in Portugal, have the same family structure and system, and then want to call yourself a South African. No.
Some of them boys down there are like they're not the same as how the Dutch is and how they is. They did get some influences from like Bantu and Khoisan and shit. And even in their language, the Afrikaans language, they actually have like borrowed terms from African languages in the shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Say, come to kill me, come to kill me.
How about how y'all doing?
God killing the building. What's up, man?
Yeah, y'all
peace.
Where you at, Geller? Hey, Geller, man, you gotta leave Reggie alone, man. Come on, that's my friend, man. You can't call him pseudo. Yo, that's Reggie.
Oh, that was Guller?
Yeah, come on, Guller.
You're fucking up, man. You got Guller, Reggie mad at us thinking it's the pseudo killer. He said it's the pseudo killers that disrespected him. It was Guller.
Man, it was Guller. Guller ain't the damn pseudo killer.
I'm like the wild card, man. I'm like, are you ever play Uno? I'm the color. I'm the card that changed the color and shit.
Yeah, but not on Reggie. That's Reggie. You can't. Come on, man. You gotta leave Reggie alone, Guller. Come on, Guller. Come on, y'all. That's Reggie. Y'all know that's Reggie. Reggie, I ain't never seen Reggie pseudo. I done seen him wrong about some shit. All of us have, then. That nigga take groups of people to museums. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no pseudo teachers there, Gully. Seriously, I ain't gonna lie to you. I doubt that. Yeah, he might be wrong with some shit. I ain't heard back on the conversation, man. I ain't heard. I gotta listen back to it. Yo, what was you saying with pseudo though, bro?
No, I was saying how he was just claiming that people, you know, the motherfucker just talking about black being anachronistic in that time period. Like how we think of blackness today and shit. And then he was how he was claiming like how all Africans are just all Africans, like everybody in Africa is in this one bubble and everybody the same.
Nah, Reggie, no evolution. He don't think that. He might didn't convey it the way.
Nah, Reggie ain't said that, Gullah.
What do you say,
I ain't
Gideon?
thought like that. He know evolution. He know not to say that.
What do you say, Gideon?
He ain't said that. He said they were African. It's the same thing like with Stupi's not too long ago, yo. Stupi was saying like when we say African, his mind think the West Africa. Like, bro, West Africa is a part of Africa. It's not the whole Africa.
Oh yeah. You say when you say Africa, that's all of Africa. Yo, everything within the borders
Exactly,
of
bro.
Africa.
Like, yeah.
From the lightest skinned niggas to the dark skinned niggas.
All right. Let me ask Uncle the question. Uncle.
No, yeah, ask the question. Don't get it wrong, sweet.
Bobby Banger. Is the white people in South Africa Africans?
Yeah.
You just trying to be funny now, yo. Like
no.
A colonized motherfucker, yo. Like you can't do that.
No.
I
was doing that. Not because I said no.
I said no. No, don't do that.
I said no.
Because they kept themselves
segregated. You just can't do that. Yeah, you can't do that.
That
ain't what we saying, yo. We ain't talking about white people that moved to Africa.
And that's the thing, Stupid. We can't be marrying. You can't marry these words. Like you use them as terms and tools for identification. You can't be married to the damn word. Like
somebody asked me the question. They asked me the question.
We good?
They asked me, and I said no.
Yeah, we good. Yeah, we good, bro.
You gotta leave Reggie alone, yo. That's the elder, yo. For real, gotta leave him alone. And when he wrong, just beat his ass up with scholarship, yo.
Yeah,
like,
we beat that right.
Yeah, he earned that right. You can beat him up. Don't get it fucked up.
Terminology don't do.
Yeah, he ain't pseudo though. He just be wrong on some shit, just like I be wrong on some shit. But I ain't got him being pseudo. I gotta listen to the conversation, yo. Yeah, you gotta leave Gullah alone. You gotta come on, Gullah. Come on, yo.
Cedric.
Yeah.
Just like now, I tell you who pseudo. Stupid is pseudo with that trying to white people some fucking Africa.
You beat them up.
I did not say that.
You beat them up with just one-handed Stupid. You beat them up by yourself. I was listening to the whole program and the nuance level that you have in the conversation on some of them can't follow. Some purposely derailing the conversation and you beat them up.
Hold on. Gullah, where you at, Gullah? Gullah.
He out for a second, huh?
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Hey, but back to the
straight, right? We good, right?
Oh yeah,
we good. We gravy, bro.
All right.
Yes,
go ahead, Cedric.
Go ahead, Cedric.
No, the white person in South Africa though.
I'm saying Stupid was having a nuanced conversation, and I don't know if everybody was able to follow it. Let me put it like this: you have ethnicity. Let's say the Asian. The Asian comes to the Caribbean and integrates. He sounds just like me. He ate the same food like me. He listened to the same food like me. In the streets, he is just like me. There comes a point in time that because he sounds like me, acts like me, eats like me, drink the same beer, eat the same food, culturally, I identify with him. More than I would identify with somebody who looks like me, but sounds completely different, dresses completely different, has a different culture. So we have established long time that culture identifies a person. Now let's take the conversation to South Africa. And I'm going to say the Europeans that are there are not African. Why? They came with their culture. They remained segregated. They did not embrace anything of the culture. They remained distinct. We can go there today and see that there's a distinct difference between the European and the native, thereby they remain culturally distinct. So thereby we watch a South African and say, no, that's not an African. That's the nuance of the conversation.
I think they was more or less focused
thing,
on
the next point.
I was right.
They said,
yes, I agree with you, Stupid. The next
hold on. I think they was more. I think they was more or less talking about the people that actually took up the culture and talk like you and all of that.
What happened? What I'm missing, Ken?
No, so I think with Stu Peas and Thunder was talking. I think Thunder was saying when they actually. Hey, hold on, Cedric. I think he was talking about. I think he was talking about. Thunder was saying if they actually practice the culture. And actually, you know, like Cedric was just saying,
they can change. Yeah, they can change their ethnicity. Absolutely.
Right.
So that's what Thunder. That's what Thunder was pretty much
that
saying.
was Thunder asked, and then Stoopy said no.
Right.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's ethnicity. No. Yeah, but the question is the white boys? Is the white boys Africans? No, they're not Africans.
No,
they're colonizers. You gotta call them what they are. They're colonizers. God damn, we talked at the same time. Go ahead, Cedric. I don't want to overtalk you, brother. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The Chinese remains Asian, but culturally, for example, in the Caribbean, I identify with it. In South Africa, the European remains distinct. Culturally, I still don't identify with him. So he's always going to remain a foreigner. That's the nuance to the discussion. Culturally, nor ethnically, did he become part of the civilization. Therefore, I look at him and say he's still a European invader. The Asian, or let's say the European that completely integrated, embraced the culture, he remains distinct European, but culturally we're the same. You know where you see that? You see that in New Switzerland, where the Europeans that settle in Tanzania, they adopted the same cultural expressions as the local population. I'm getting a brain fart. When they play that football, you see them doing the same dance as the Samoans, European and Samoan alike. They adopted the culture. They became one culturally. However, you can distinctly see, okay, that's a European. Culturally, they're the same. The conversation is a bit nuanced. Ethnicity, that's hard to change unless you're interbreeding. If not, you remain ethnically Chinese or European, but culturally you're integrated to whatever that population identifies themselves as. That's the nuance in the discussion for me. So we're having a discussion on different levels.
Can I ask you a question? Can one individual change his culture? So if I come from Jamaica, and I come from Jamaica now at 40, and I come to America, can I become culturally American?
Yeah.
You can be American. You can be American. It ain't got no.
Just like some of the Africans, they were brought over and influenced by the culture that didn't mix in. They were still considered Creoles, Creolized culture, bro.
Let me use myself as an example. I'm from St. Martin, the Caribbean, but to study, we all go to Europe. So when I leave my house, ik spreek gewoon Nederlands de hele dag. Niemand weet waar ik vandaan kom. Maar zodra ik mijn deur open gaat, when I reach to my door home and I open my door, I'm back in the Caribbean. The music in my house is Caribbean. The food in my house is Caribbean. But on the street, I behave like a European in that civilization. I speak their language. I do everything that they do. Drink coffee like them. But from the time I cross that threshold to my house, I am back in the Caribbean.
So the answer is no then. The answer is no.
No. You assimilate, but you don't change. Your culture don't that you still rooted somewhere else.
All right, let's get this straight.
That's what I said.
Let's get hold.
Even my children.
Let me get 2 words in. Let me get 2 words in real quick. Just 2 words, ladies. Listen. Colonizers, nigga. They not saying, they never said they was. They went over there and colonized South Africa, y'all. and they didn't fucking leave. Simple as that. And they never wanted to be African. Now, amongst them, you got people that lived in the villages, white people that went out there. That's a different story right there. Right? But you would never call them Africans though. Because the Africans is motherfuckers that was on the continent, was the original people on the continent. When you know what I mean? They say the continent of Africa and Europe, right? So you would have Europeans in Africa, right? Yes. That may be ethnically, quote unquote, whatever tribe they think they migrate and live with. That's how you would say, but they would always be European. Now, if they in that motherfucker for 50,000 years, then you talking something different now. Now they have been cultivated by African soil, African environment. You know what I'm saying? African gene pool, right? Then it is what it is. But what we talking about, them motherfuckers is counting out like they say. They only spell the African the same.
Yeah, like I would say like 15,000
years. The discussion.
I would say
we agree.
15,000.
Hey yo, why they spell it different, yo?
And listen, 15,000 years from now, not only they gonna be African, shoot, they even their markers gonna mutate and what I'm saying, become part of the land and shit and all that.
Yeah. Let's talk about that 15,000 years from now, yo. But right now, yo, they spell it. They tell you they spell it different.
Those Europeans that claim to speak Afrikaans, which is Dutch, and that illustrates everything right there. They came from Europe, maintained their own language. They didn't adopt even a native tongue. They continue to speak the language from the whole country. What about them are African? What?
What's crazy is originally that's how you know that they colonized it, because they identify as African. Shit, all original tribal people, even before they came, they didn't identify as African at all. They identify whoever the hell they was in their own language.
European come there and speak in Dutch and say that's Afrikaans. The arrogance. The only European language on the country to be called African.
Sheffrin, can I ask you a question? The Jews, when they left out of...
Sheffrin ain't on this motherfucker.
No, Sheffrin, sorry. When the Jews left out of wherever they're from originally, yeah?
When the who?
Mm-hmm.
You talking about the Jews?
What you talking about?
I'm coming. Yeah, the Ashkenaz. Right? Yeah.
Move to Europe. You talking about they mixed in with the Europeans?
Okay. Yeah, no. The Ashkenazis who was in Europe and were expelled from place to place, expelled from Russia.
When they went into Europe, they became Ashkenazis.
Yeah, but they maintain that culture. They maintain the culture, although the ethnically is different. The ethnically changed. The culturally remain the same. And they were always distinct in whatever population they went into. And that's why they were easily persecuted and identified. Right? If they went into Russia, they were identified.
Judaism is a religion. It's a religion, yo.
Who tell you that?
It is. Judaism is a fucking religion. I'm telling you.
You buy that?
You buy that? Tell Chef to put the link back in the chat.
But they kept themselves segregated. I understand Stupi's point. So that's why wherever they went, they never became.
Y'all don't know that Judaism is a religion, yo. Y'all playing.
Yes, right it is a religion. It is a religion, Unc. But what we're saying,
right? They faked y'all out, like they faked y'all fake niggas out, like it had a genetic marker to it. Get the fuck out of there. That's stupid.
No, but just like the European colonizer segregated themselves, never integrated. This is what that group of people did as they moved throughout, whereby they remained distinct everywhere that they were. They never became part of the environment that they were in, neither culturally nor ethnically.
And that is why, when I say what I say, I need people to understand. Because if you come into a place and you're culturally distinct and your population still remain culturally distinct, you're not a member of that community.
No. No, you are a colonizer.
But
Whether
sometimes,
it be in the negative
sometimes,
sense or not, you're just colonizing, you're occupying space.
But sometimes, you know, based on sociology, they can say whatever the hell they want to say they is. But what's going on? What's going on is they getting influenced by each other culture by default in the first place. This is like slavery, like, you know what I'm saying. Even though we was in fucked up circumstances, you know what I'm saying. The Europeans were getting influenced by us, and we was getting influenced by them at the same damn time. It wouldn't, no matter what the hell they was claiming or who was claiming or identifying who we were. You know what I'm saying? Scientifically, you know what I'm saying. Cultures bounce off each other naturally in the first place, so you don't got no choice but to you know what I'm saying, kind of mix and match.
We understand what Stupid was trying to say, but that was a bad analogy, though.
What the Jews?
Yeah.
No, not bad. You're right.
So when they go back to Israel, like they were
they embrace.
They were from like Germany or some shit, ain't it?
When they go back to Israel, they're embraced. Whether they're Russian Jews, American Jews, because that is the homeland. That is the culture. That is the culture that they celebrate. Right? They're incorporated in that culture. They have remained culturally distinct for hundreds of years. They might ethnically change, but culturally, them is the same. Right?
That's why the assimilation rate is much lower. Like for us, for example, I'm going to mention a couple of artists in the United States. I'm going to take a popular one, Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes, when he was leader of the new school in them days, you had little inclination of his Caribbean heritage. Is when I see an interview with his mother, who speaks with our Caribbean accent, and he born and raised in the US. So on the street, Busta Rhymes is an American, right? A Black American in all its attributes. But when he goes home in his mother house, he is still in touch with that Caribbean aspect of it. So there is something that people learn to how you say, compartmentalize, and we do it all the time. But on the street, they would say, "Nah, man, that he fully Americanized." But when he goes home now, and he turn and he speak to his mother, and that Caribbean accent come up here, but I didn't know you could speak like that. You know, and the Smalls, Wyclef is a first generation Haitian. You know, so it is when we talk about these people's parents, then we realize, but his mother is a first generation, not even a second generation, first generation. And it goes on and on like that. And there's several artists you could mention like that when they interview their parents and so, and when they go into their parents' home, you see their Caribbean roots, you hear them speak with a little bit different accent, the things, you know. So then is when we identify, oh, you got Caribbean roots. Otherwise than that, it is not apparent. So that argument also, yes, it lasts sometimes for 3 and 4 generations. I go to my some relatives in the US, you would not know their Caribbean roots until we sit down in the house home and we chop it up and the Caribbean accent come out, etc., etc. You know, so
you realize that the Caribbean, you realize that the Caribbean,
yeah,
you realize that the culture, it is what it is. Culture take a time for you to assimilate a new culture. One individual can do it. Takes generations.
I would say we do that. We do that in the U.S. Shit, when we go, if we work at a certain place, we go there. Shit, we talk like the the proper English and all that shit. Should we go home? Should we let our nuts hang out? So we speak.
Yeah, that's on a micro level. When you go to the white man job, people speaking the president English. We sound like Obama.
When we go home, we speaking Geechee. We speaking Ebonic.
Right.
Big up, Cujo. What's good with it, bro?
Big up. It's on all level.
Somebody said that you can't come from another culture and come to America and still I forgot what he said, but Mexicans live in the United States. They are American citizens, but they still have a Mexican culture. You can be culturally,
tomorrow seem to be higher to
Iraqi
be
and be an
evident.
American citizen. It has nothing to do with your culture, your
I'm not
nationality.
talking. We're
A
not talking
Chinese
about
person,
citizenship.
a Chinese person who's a citizen of Jamaica is a Jamaican. Period. Elon Musk is a South African. He is not an African. He is a South African. That's a country. That's his nationality. He is not an African. He's clearly European.
Right.
Elon Musk is not an African. He's a European.
He's a European.
Elon Musk is a European. His culture is European. He was only born in Africa.
Then why we not calling these crackers over here? Why you not study calling them Europeans? I mean, it wasn't that long ago when they came over here. You know what I'm saying too.
They're European as well.
Anglo-Saxons. Why you still ain't calling Americans Anglo-Saxons?
The reason why we're not calling the Anglo-Saxon who came over here on the Mayflower or on the fur ships, why we don't call them by them European, and we don't call the African American African. The African American is not African, you know. This is not a conversation we have. The African American is not African. We embrace Africa because it's our history, but we're not African. We're culturally different and distinct from the Africans. If you think we still have,
Kenyans are completely distinct from
the British didn't call themselves in the Anglo-Saxon. They didn't call it. The Anglos didn't originally call themselves American either when they first came. Shoot, the original Americans were the Spanish and Portuguese motherfuckers and shit.
Right, but after a while, they developed their own culture here.
Ended in 1066. When you have white people call themselves Anglo-Saxon now, that's just some piss and bullshit. Because in reality, they were conquered by the Normans at the Battle of Hastings in 1066. That's why we speak English, like we do. So no, and we are African. The same way they're European. We are African.
Exactly.
They just use the word white, and white is synonymous with African in America, just like black is synonymous with. White is synonymous with European in America, and black is synonymous with African in America.
Ethnically, we are.
That's what it is.
Debating ethnical. Nobody not debating ethnicity. Because
no, that's not an ethnicity. My ethnicity is a American African ethnicity. That's my ethnicity. But what type of American I am is an African type of American because America is a land of immigrants. It is what it is. It can't be denied. I just didn't stop being an African because I'm not Yoruba. I'm still an African.
Exactly.
Ethnically, yes.
And that's the double stuff I was talking about.
Ethnically, yes.
Culturally, no.
And I said specifically, we West Sudanic, Niger, Congo, Africa.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Big up.
Ethnically, yes.
Ethnically, I am an African. There's no doubt about that. But culturally, I am no African.
Neither am I. Neither none of us on this panel.
We embrace the Africanness. The African.
Most people on this panel, the culture is a barbecue on the 4th of July, right?
Yeah, I consider myself a Creole. Like that's what it is. We all Creoles on here for real.
Correct.
Right. Like on this panel here, most everybody part of the culture is barbecue 4th of July. That's just part of what is done in the country you live in, and you embrace it. You come with your family. Thanksgiving is also part of everybody's culture on this panel right here, right? It's something that we do. It is part of country, family come together, regardless of the historical origins of it. It is something that we all embrace on this panel right here, right? This is something that is culturally distinct that we have, even though we Black, even though we African ethnically, we are those are cultural differences that don't exist on the continent. Those people have no idea what it is. It's not something they embrace.
So
you
what?
Gotta be careful
So
to say
what?
that too, but because shit, South Korea celebrate all that shit too. They
Yeah, because
just
it's
as American
becoming
as we
global. Yes, like here in the Caribbean, we got Black Friday and Thanksgiving and Halloween too. And I'd be like, Jesus Christ, is this globalization really taking effect? When I grew up, there were none of these things. Now, 20 years later, 30 years later, we have Halloween, we have Thanksgiving, we have Black Friday. I grew up with none of these things. So yes, these things are American culture, American imperialism is spreading over the world. However, my point is these are cultural things that distinguish a Black man from North America from somebody in middle of West Sudan.
You're right.
You know, so
Yeah,
this is
but
where
people in West,
we look alike,
people in,
but culturally we're different.
of course we're different. But people who live in Nigeria are culturally different from people who live in Tanzania. I mean, I'm not trying to say that we're the exact same because Africans aren't the exact same. We're a type of African, just like a Nigerian is a type of African.
All they did was just move some Africans out of Africa.
Yeah, we definitely
but
not the same Africans as the Africans in the Horn, or you know what I'm saying, some of the Nilo-Saharan. We
continental Africans.
Of course, we're different.
Yeah, I mean, but continental Africans differ from one another. I mean, we can't compare a drop of water to the goddamn ocean, and we're the drop of water. We're the drop of water. We can't compare ourselves to all that.
We are descendants. We are descendants of Africa.
But we're still us.
But we come from
ethnicity.
We come from a particular cluster African culture. We don't just come from just a random groups. We don't come from Cushitic groups from East Africa. We don't come from South Sudanic, Nilo-Saharan groups. We come from Niger, Congo, West Sudanic people. You know what I'm saying?
The majority of us, but you know, I found out that I actually come from a pre-Bantu group in Africa. Which is pretty rare.
I consider Bantu.
Not haplogroup. Of course I
do because Bantu, you know what I'm saying, their expansion, you know, so they come from West Sudanic culture because they branched off from Niger Congo languages, you know, so through their migration or whatever, and they in the mix with, you know, the hunter gatherers that was already there. But I still consider that culture West Sudanic because they brought in West Sudanic crops into Central Africa, like the yams and all that shit and iron and shit. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm talking about the click speakers. Not the Khoisan. Not the Khoisan. The Hazabi or Hazza.
Yeah, the Hazza. Yeah. That was all, but
the people of South Africa.
They were all over at one point in time. Like they were, like you know the one you got the ones that's isolated in Tanzania, but you had Hadza like people, you know, so during the you know, Middle Stone Age.
Yeah, I've been looking into it, and it's kind of wild. But more than likely, I probably would descend from somebody who was mixed with a Hadza who lived in Congo. You see what I'm saying,
bro? My mitochondria is L1C, and that's like a hunter gatherer Bantu hybrid.
Right. I was really surprised, but I was proud. I was afraid to take the test for so many years because I didn't want to find out I had European on my father's side. I didn't want to see no European haplogroup. I really didn't.
My paternal marker is European. I'm a haplogroup G.
But look at this. My maternal marker is European. H1 3C. My maternal marker. Yeah, that's wild.
I can't
pretty rare.
My family go from blonde with blue eyes to pitch black. My offspring my color straight up and everything in between. So like we all mix up.
I like to say
listen. And that makes us culturally different than the Africans too.
No, that doesn't make us culturally different. That makes us genetically different.
Yeah, but yeah, I know, being raised, but that is also a factor that differentiates us. That's a commonality.
That differentiates us from specific groups of Africans. But
this is what I'm finish. This is what I'm saying. That culturally, we can all trace one of our ancestors. 90% of black people in this side of the world can trace one of the ancestors back to a white person.
They could do that. They could do that. They could do that
within the last 400 years. How much percent?
Yeah, that was what I was about to say. Realization also occurred on the West Coast side.
But
realization also, when you had all of these groups coming from the interior, bringing people in, everybody didn't leave. People got pregnant there too. So they are a mixture of several different African haplogroups as well in some areas.
Do they have the percentage of European? Do they have the percentage of European?
Yeah, some of them do. Of course. Some of them.
On a whole, the population on a whole of the percentage of European.
I said no.
Okay.
No.
Let's take a look at Hispaniola, for example, specifically the Dominican Republic. Now, genetically, the Haitian population and the Dominican population will differ very little, right? Primarily African slaves, but there's a mixing of the people, etc. Now, according to the logic, and I'm saying this, as Caribbean people, due to our mixing in these small areas, culturally we are so distinct, even though phenotypically 99% of us are African, culturally we are very distinct. Now I'm going to take the Dominican Republic, for example. That's a Caribbean culture that has been under the guise of slavery, the Spanish, the French, name it, English, the same experience. Look at the culture that developed on that island and tell me that it is not extremely distinct from anything that exists on the continent. Although these people are African. They eat plantain, ayuca, yam, the music
throughout the whole diaspora.
Yeah, so what? I don't see why that's the point to you. I really don't. I mean, so what? Of course they have different cultures. They live in a different land. They grew up in a different paradigm than people on the west coast of Africa. Of course they have a different culture. But like I said, Africans have different cultures in Africa from each other.
Would you?
They do. They do.
All right, let me ask you this question.
We can't compare ourselves to them.
Do you consider the white people in South Africa Africans?
No, I consider them South Africans. That's their nationality. Like I consider a black person who lives in England, in Great Britain. He's British, but he's not a European. I was stationed in Korea. I know several black people who live in Korea. They are Koreans, but they are not Asian. They are Korean by nationality. That's their nationality. They are naturalized citizens of the Republic of Korea. So they are Koreans, but they are not Asian. They're still African, regardless.
Now, those Africans interbreed with the Koreans, and that happens for 10 generations. What is a 10 generation?
It don't matter. It don't take it could take one generation. I know when I was there.
That's a very specific question. The African is there now. They intermarry. They have children. Their children speak Korean, go to Korean school, practice Korean culture. Those have kids. They intermingle with either some pure Korean or some other half Korean. They intermix for 5, 6, 7 generations.
Brother,
those offspring that you can identify as ethnically different.
Are they
still African?
Listen. I know in Korea, I met and I've seen several Amerasian. Can I finish? Several Amerasian. They call them Amerasian. That's what they call them. Orphans, because soldiers get them pregnant over there, and the kids get left behind. When you see these little Koreans who are mixed with blacks, they are Korean. because they grew up in Korea. That's their culture. That is their culture. They are Korean.
That mean if they're Korean, you are not African then. If they are Koreans,
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because I'm not an orphan. I grew up with a family. My family came here. What makes me the way I speak, the way I am, what I eat is because of my African family that I grew up with here. I'm from Virginia, bro. You heard me? I'm from Virginia.
Yeah, he
I
tied
ain't
what
from a whole lot of
where
places.
we from, bro. He tied
I'm
what
from Virginia. That's right. Big up Virginia, big up North Carolina, big up South Carolina, and Maryland.
No, all right. Because I covered that earlier when I mentioned
the Dominican is an African that has a different culture, but still an African. And the Korean with the African descent is a Korean.
Yes, because he didn't grow up amidst an African culture. Like the Dominicans did. The people in Dominican, because it's not about. If you want to talk about it from a genetic level, but I'm talking culturally. I'm saying culturally.
A lot of them left behind orphans be like, from soldiers is having sex with prostitutes and shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they didn't get the flavor. They didn't get the flavor of they African culture because they dads just left. You know what I'm saying? So they raised fully
when you see them. When they talk, it's nothing different from any other Korean. They're the same. No ifs, ands, or buts. The same way that a Chinese person in Jamaica that's mixed with a Jamaican is a fucking Jamaican. The fuck. Yeah, my dad is from North Carolina.
All right, this is what I'm saying. This is my argument. My argument is that your ethnicity is what you present, what people see. That's your ethnicity.
No, that's not what people see. No, your ethnicity doesn't necessarily have to be what people see. That's not true. That's not true.
Hey, Sweet Pea.
How is that not true? How is that not true? Wait. No. How is that not true? How is your ethnicity is not what people say?
Because you could be raised amidst a certain culture and be acclimated to that culture. You could be acculturated to that culture, and you're a part of that culture. And you can't.
But that don't change your ethnicity. That don't change your ethnicity.
Yes, it does.
That don't change your ethnicity. No,
it does. It does. Yes, it does. Puerto Ricans are ethnic group.
Hey, Sweet Pea,
Puerto Ricans are an ethnic group.
Hey, Sweet Pea, how you feel about the Trinidadians, like the Indian people that's there, like
those are Trinidadians. No, they're ethnically Indians, but they're Trinidadians. They're full Trinidadians. Their culture is distinctly Trinidadian.
Yeah, I met one. I know. I used to work with one. This dude just say I'm. He's like, you just straight up say I'm black. I'm black.
I made that argument earlier, and nobody believed me when I made that argument with the Chinese. Ethnicity is how we present to people, what people see.
What do you mean nobody don't believe you?
Sorry about that. But culturally is what is how them interact. Because somebody standing up and not saying anything. If you have 10 people naked just standing up, culturally we cannot determine what they are until they open their mouth or say something. But ethnicity, we can say this person is of Chinese descent, this person is of black descent, this person is of European descent.
But you can't say. Can you say this person is Dominican and that person Puerto Rican? Those are two ethnic groups. Could you look at those two ethnic groups and say that they're the same, and see which one is which?
But that's another thing we need to dismiss. Jamaican is not an ethnic group.
Yeah, it's not. Jamaican is.
Trinidad is not an ethnic group.
It's nationality.
Yes, that's nationality. Dominica is not an ethnic group.
But it ain't really an ethnic group.
Dominican is not a. When somebody when they ask them, "Are you black?" and they say they are Dominican, it's not an ethnic group. Don't fall for that trap. When people say you're black and they say, "No, I'm Puerto Rican,"
Yeah, I hate when people say that. Like what do you mean you black and poor? You got black Puerto Ricans, you got white Puerto Ricans, you got mestizo Puerto Ricans.
That is your nationality and your culture. You're culturally Puerto Rican, but you're ethnically what you present, what you look like.
You nationally Puerto Rican.
Really tell them how they talk.
Puerto Rico got very different cultures within it, but you nationally Puerto Rico.
You could tell them how they talk.
Right. So therefore, when somebody says Dominican, it's not an ethnic group. Jamaican is not an ethnic group. Trinidad is not an ethnic group. That's your nationality or your culture. We can't say the same thing. American is not an ethnic group.
It's a nationality. When you come into this country,
you got white Haitians.
You come into this country. When you come into this country and you become a citizen of this country, these United States, Jamaican does become in this country. It does. I see what you're saying, and I agree. Jamaican is a nationality, but once you become a naturalized citizen, my children's mother is Jamaican. Her mother and father are Jamaican, but she grew up here.
You are culturally Jamaican. You're culturally Jamaican. You're not ethnically Jamaican.
No. She's not culturally. She's culturally American. She's not culturally Jamaican at all.
How she's culturally? That means that she's not Jamaican then. She's American.
Her mother and father are Jamaican. Her mother and father are Jamaican.
She's culturally Jamaican.
She was adopted. She's culturally American. She's not. She wished she was culturally.
Which culture?
She's culturally South Carolinian.
Which culture she was exposed at that time? Which culture she was exposed as a child? Which culture she was indoctrinated with as a child?
I said she was raised in America.
By who?
By American parents. By Americans in South Carolina.
That means that she's culturally American.
From our perspective, from my perspective, she's from South Carolina. She eat rice all the time. She make it all the damn time.
Yeah,
like people in South Carolina.
You had slaves brought up from Jamaica to America. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Oh no, this is what I'm saying. Yeah. Culturally, this is
He's talking about ethnicity.
Ethnicity, and culture.
That's two different things. I'm saying culture. The culture is Jamaica, but because she doesn't have that culture, I'm still not going to deny the fact
that means that she's not Jamaican. Then
no, that doesn't mean she's not Jamaican.
Her birthplace is Jamaican.
You can have somebody born in Jamaica, be a Jamaican citizen, but they're raised in France. They're still Jamaican. They could be raised in France forever. Their ethnicity would be Jamaican, or their nationality would be Jamaican.
Their ethnicity is African. Their ethnicity is African. The ethnicity is African. The ethnicity is not Jamaican. Jamaica was just a place that they was born at.
No, but that's where you have this distinct group of Africans in Jamaica develop a culture over a few hundred years. Not that long.
Still don't change them ethnicity.
But that don't change them ethnicity. She never shared a culture, so she's not Jamaican. She's only Jamaican by birth. Her ethnicity is African, and she's culturally American.
She's culturally American beyond a doubt. But her mother and father
but she was only born in Jamaica.
She wasn't even born there. She was born here.
That means that she's not Jamaican then. She's not Jamaican.
Her mother and father are Jamaican.
But
that don't matter.
She's ethnically African. She's ethnically African.
But you remember the argument I made, Stu Pease? It's the same argument he's making right now.
Yeah, which is wrong.
No, I beg to differ. Okay.
She's ethnically African. Ethnicity is what you
No. The same argument. What I'm saying that the same argument that I made, he's making now, but he's saying it wrong.
Yeah. Ethnicity is what you present to people. Is what people say. Culture is what when you open your mouth.
She's an American, even though she has Jamaican parents.
Yeah, she's an American.
She embraced the American culture.
She was
never born in America.
Jamaican culture.
She wasn't immersed in Jamaican culture. She's not Jamaican. She don't know nothing about Jamaica.
That's nonsense. That's nonsense. How is she not Jamaican? I agree, she's not culturally Jamaican. I could roll with that. But her parents,
then
her
she
mother,
ain't Jamaican. She wasn't. That don't mean shit, bro. Because Jamaica is not an ethnic group.
It does mean shit. Who told you it don't mean shit?
He don't get it.
Why do you think it doesn't mean shit? Why? Why do you
Jamaica
think it
is not
doesn't?
an ethnic group.
Because I just
It's
said
an
that
ethnic group.
exactly.
When you come into America, it is an ethnic. And if you become
No,
an
it's
American
not.
citizen, if you are an American citizen, if you become an American citizen,
Bro, we
and
are
you're
all in the
Jamaican.
Americas though. You
No, no,
forgot
no.
that?
I said American citizen. I didn't say this
Yeah,
foolish
but
stuff
you
y'all
no, you're
saying
talking
earlier
about
about
again,
everybody being American. The
you're
United
talking about the
States is
nationality.
the only country.
The
The
young
United
lady,
States is the only country in the West who uses the moniker American. That's it.
Okay.
We're not United Statesmen.
But
In
you still
America, we
talking
are
about
American.
you still talking about nationality, bro.
I know I'm talking about nationality. Jamaican is a nationality.
What culture she embrace?
What country did she grow up in? American. I said that.
Okay, so what does that make her?
That makes her an American.
The argument, bro.
With Jamaican
she was
roots.
born in America and raised by Americans. She's an American.
Right. Right.
That's how UP saying too. I mean,
no, but she's still Jamaican. How is she not Jamaican if her mother and father are Jamaican?
Then, Centavro, let me address this. Centavro, you are genetically. What you look, your genes show how you appear. Genes affect how you look. So I am wrong. I am right. Ethnicity is how you present to people.
No.
What are you telling me? Ethnicity is not how you present to people?
She's of African descent, born in America, of Jamaican parents. Her parents were born in Jamaica, and they're of African descent. So both of them are of African descent. They were born in different places. They share different cultures.
Right. Her mother. So if somebody, if a Nigerian, two Nigerians come to America and have a child, that child isn't Nigerian.
If the child culturally.
If the child is culturally Nigerian.
My homeboy
No.
born here. Both his parents are from Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's a nigga like me. He don't have that accent. None of that. He sounds just like one of us. But he's still Nigerian. He's American, but he's still Nigerian because his parents are Nigerian. He's an American, but he's still Nigerian.
All right, let's say your boy. Let me ask you this question. Let's say your boy was born here, but when he was born, he was given up by adoption, and two Americans grew him. Is he Nigerian now?
Yes, he still would be Nigerian. You couldn't take that away from him. He's Nigerian.
Why?
That's his bloodline.
Why would he be?
His bloodline is Nigerian.
He's
because
African.
his bloodline is Nigerian.
Yeah,
his bloodline is Nigerian. You don't lose that. That's your bloodline. If
but he's from the
being born in Virginia, well,
actually
I'm
from the
mixed because
continent.
I'm from North Carolina and Virginia. So my father's from North Carolina. So if I went and I was raised in California, I would still be from Virginia, regardless. Regardless, I'll be out there talking funny like them niggas, but I'm still from Virginia because that's where my bloodline is. You can't take that away from her. I agree. She's not telling her all the time. Don't come in here trying to make no fucking jerk chicken. You don't know how to do it because you didn't grow up doing that shit. But she is Jamaican. She is. She doesn't have. She is. It is what it is. Her parents. You can't take that away from her. It's nonsense. Because it don't fit what you think.
What's Jamaica though, and what's Africa? That's the difference.
What? She's distinctly Jamaican.
She cannot be distinctly Jamaican.
Genetically, she's Jamaican. She descends from the people in Jamaica. It's like any other Jamaican, despite the fact she's born here.
Oh, so is she both African and Jamaican then?
I mean, of course she's African. That should go without saying. I wouldn't be messing with a white chick. So yeah. She's my baby mother. I ain't having no baby with no goddamn white girl. So yeah, she's African, no doubt. I'm African too. She's Jamaican.
So she's African by the way of Jamaica,
Yeah,
she's
you got white.
American. She's
You got white
American, by the
Jamaicans.
way.
Not that many of them, but you got them. Shit.
You do have
Yeah.
white Jamaicans.
So she's American through via Jamaica.
I mean, I tell her she's culturally American. I agree with that. I can't deny it. But I'm not gonna take that away from her. Her parents are Jamaican. She's Jamaican. She is Biggie was Jamaican. He was a Jamaican dude. He was just raised.
Jamaica is not an ethnicity. We established that. It's a nationality.
No, I agree. It's a nationality. But once you're here in these United States, Jamaican is viewed as an ethnicity. Once you're here, once you become a citizen, it is considered an ethnicity. That's your ethnicity, Jamaican. Once you're here, you become a citizen. Once you're naturalized, that's your ethnicity. And don't say it isn't, because they like to identify themselves as such. There's nothing wrong with that.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Are you a citizen?
Yeah.
You ever see any ethnicity me mark Jamaican and any document you have ever filled out?
Never. As I said earlier, ethnicity is what people see. Although sometimes people might have vague ethnicity, especially people who mixed. So it might be hard to determine what them is exactly, but your ethnicity is what people see. So if you have 10
countless, no, that's not true.
We can identify them.
That's not true.
What is ethnicity?
You use the example of Jews. So let me use the example of Jews, because you used that example earlier. You brought up Jews. You have Jews who look distinctly different. You have Jews, you can't look at them and tell they're Jew. However, that's their ethnicity. You can't look at them and differentiate them from a fucking Italian or a fucking any other kind of European. You can't necessarily differentiate them. But they are an ethnic group. They are an ethnic group.
When I use Jew, I was using them culturally. And then when I was also Bobby Banger came in and
ethnically is culture.
A religion.
Like when you describing an ethnic group, you're describing the culture. You know what I'm saying? That's capsulized. That's what an ethnic group is.
Jerry Seinfeld is a Jew. That's his ethnicity. You telling me that you could look at a white person and just tell
Jews will argue. No. Jews will argue. Stop. Don't say that. Jews will argue that Judaism is a religion, not an ethnicity. So careful.
No, that's not true.
Is a religion, not an ethnicity.
You have some who accept that. But a lot of them don't. They don't accept people who convert into Judaism. That's not true. They don't. I agree it is a religion, but it's different. It's different than, say, Christianity or Islam. It's more like Hinduism, because Hinduism is a religion just like what the Mandinka would have practiced before they became Muslim. It's the religion of the Indus Valley, Hindustan, the land of the Hindus. That is a ethnic religion. That's what that is. You can convert and become a Hindu, but Hindus are Indians. That's what a Hindu is. That's their ethnicity. They're Hindu, as also their nationality.
So Buddhists.
People in Pakistan. They're Pakistanis. But Pakistanis are actually Indians as well. People in Bangladesh.
Let me use an argument.
What would be a Pakistani ethnicity?
They will call themselves Pakis now. But in all actuality, they are Indians. They just converted to Islam.
I'm asking you what would be their ethnicity exactly. What I'm asking is
Indians.
What would be their nationality? What would be their nationality?
Pakistani.
Okay.
Pakistani or Punjabi.
Now, in certain instances, nationality can be used for ethnicity.
No, because
in certain instances.
when it is politicized.
Well, it depends. Yeah, but and when it depends on where. Like how he said the guy was Nigerian. Like, yeah, because that's a continent he's coming from. Like, directly, his parents are from the continent.
Right.
But that a nation.
Like,
but he's Yoruba. His ethnic group is Yoruba, but his nationality is Nigerian.
It's American.
His nationality is American.
It's American, right?
Yeah, he's born here. So he's an American.
But bubble it down. His ethnicity is West Africa.
No, you can't lump all those different ethnicities into West Africa. The Mendika and the Hausa are distinct.
We do. It's not. I'm not lumping it in. We lump it in. The mere fact that you put African American, the mere fact that you call yourself African American is that you have agreed to lump all West Africans as Africans.
No, I didn't agree to. It's just a fact of life. That's what it really is.
What you call yourself? What you call yourself? Are you an African American?
I'm an American African after the time.
All right, you're an American African.
Yes.
And the part of Africa.
More precisely, I'm a Virginian.
You're West African American West African. Would you agree with me if I said you're American West African? Would you have a problem with that?
No, I wouldn't.
Right.
But I would have a problem with you. I would have a problem with you lumping people who live on the west coast of Africa together like that, because they are distinct from one another. Whereas I'm not. I can't point out my distinction. This is because I'm a product of the history of the past. I don't like to say 400 years. Past 300 plus years. I'm a product of that history, so I don't have that luxury that they have. But I'm not going to just look at them like that because this is the way I have to see it. So no, West Africa is not an ethnicity. From my perspective,
they have the liberty.
From my experience,
no, hold on. No, they have the liberty to have the opportunity to trace their lineage back, not only to a geographical area, because Nigeria is Nigeria in the last 200 years.
No, Nigeria has not been Nigeria for no damn 200 years. Nigeria been Nigeria since 1960. What, 65? You talking about 200 years? Anybody call that shit damn Nigeria?
I was being generous, but prior to that,
that was a whole lot of generosity.
Yeah, all right, your friend before that would have been a specific. We could have identified a specific ethnicity to a specific group. Would that want to be Bantu or Khoisan or whatever it is?
Bantu was a language group. You can't conflate these things.
Or whatever. No. Tell me some groups. I didn't know the names of some groups. So
Yoruba,
Igbo,
Hausa.
right? Hausa. All right. So he has the liberty to be able to identify his group. So he's not really Nigeria. His ethnicity could be Yoruba or one of the other names you call. That's his ethnicity.
No, because his parents were nationals, Nigerian nationals. So that's the nation that they're from. I mean,
but in Nigeria, no. I can look at it that way because in Nigeria itself, ethnicity, the group that you belong to, is more important than your nationality in Nigeria. And I can pull that up. In Nigeria, the ethnic group that you belong to is greater than your nationality.
Because there are different groups.
Okay.
So you call him Nigerian is being a disservice to him.
No, that's how his father refers to himself. I'm respecting that, man.
He refers to himself that way to accommodate you, the layman.
No. I mean, it's kind of like this because I get what you're trying to say. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not trying to say anything.
England is named after the Angles, which were a tribe. Everybody who lives in England aren't Angles. Everybody who lives in England don't descend from Saxony and they don't descend from Anglia. All of them don't. They don't. The majority of them right now, they pretty mixed up, to be quite honest. But they go under the banner of British now since 1732, I believe. That's the banner that they all go under now.
But
just
that's
like
the choice being
Nigeria
made.
goes under that banner now.
But you
Those
can't
tribes in Nigeria go under that banner now. I mean, we can. I mean, we stop being hypothetical. Let's deal with what we actually know. We know this. I know that Nigeria exists. I know that these tribes exist in Nigeria. And yes, you're right. They do identify themselves. The ones I've met, they do identify themselves as by their particular ethnic group. However, they are Nigerian.
They call themselves Nigerian to come accommodate everybody else when they're outside of Nigeria. But when they're inside of when they're inside of Nigeria, they differentiate themselves based upon the ethnic group. But when they come outside of Nigeria, they're stronger as a nationality. So they embrace the nationality. But when they're inside the country, they separate based on those ethnic groups. Because
you got the same thing going on in the British Isles. You know what I'm saying? Because you have Scotland, that's the Scots. And you have the people who live in Wales, those are the Welsh. And the people who live in England, those are the English. But they're all from Great Britain. Again, let's deal with what's really happening now instead of all this
They're not all from Great Britain. They're not all from Great Britain.
It's Great Britain now.
No. Nope.
It's Great Britain now.
Nope. They're all from the United Kingdom, not Great Britain. Great Britain is different than Scotland. It's different than Ireland, and it's different than Wales.
Great Britain is Scotland, English, and Wales.
Nope, it is not.
Northern Ireland. And it's called the United Kingdom. That's a pretty new
United Kingdom. It's
but
not
they are British.
No, it's not.
What do they call themselves? British.
The Scottish don't call themselves British. The Scottish don't call themselves British. The Scottish The Scottish do not call themselves British.
Yeah, like you said, when they get maybe in their country,
and the
same with the Irish is different.
The Scottish and the Welsh.
Ireland is an independent country. Only Ulster Island. It's called Ulster Island. That's Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is part of the United
Have you ever met a Scot person? Have you ever met a Scot person
call themselves British?
And they call themselves British?
Yes, I have. Yes, I've met Scots.
You met a Scotsman who called himself British?
Why don't you let me freaking answer you, brother? I've met Scots who were in the British Army. I worked with them when I worked for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. So yes, they distinguished themselves. They did let it be known. They let it be known that they were Scots, but they from Great Britain. That's the army that they're in.
They're part of the United Kingdom. They don't call themselves British.
Which is Great Britain.
But they don't call themselves British. They have never called themselves British. The Welsh have never called themselves British.
The Welsh don't call themselves British.
Who
calls themselves British? Who are the British?
Call themselves British.
Where are they? Where's British?
England.
England.
No, England. They will call themselves English. Why wouldn't they call themselves English?
Because British was before English, bro. They used to call themselves British.
They didn't. One out of two, bro. The Romans called them Britons, actually. They didn't. We don't know what they called themselves. The Romans named Brittany.
They call themselves.
However, when you had Mercia and Northumberland and all that shit, they didn't call themselves no goddamn British.
Why we don't know what they call themselves?
I just told you what they called themselves.
No, you said we don't know what they call themselves.
People from England call themselves.
Before the Roman times, no, we don't know. That's what the Romans.
No, we're not calling. But since the Roman time, the people from England call themselves British. The people from Scotland call themselves Scottish. And the people from Welsh call themselves.
That is not true. On April 26, 1607, when the Susan Constance, I forget the name of the two other ships, landed in Jamestown, Virginia, those people were not British. Those people were English. Those people were English. When they landed, that was an English colony. It didn't become a British colony until 1732. So no, they confederated the entire British Isles to become Great Britain. That's why they're British collectively. because the Scots were not a part of England. The Scots were not a part of England. That's why you have a place in Canada called Nova Scotia, which means New Scotland, because Scotland tried to have their own territory. They did their own thing until they came under the British, the English crown. I forget the goddamn dude, man. Damn, I forget his name. I forget the king. But that's when it became Great Britain. Great Britain is Scotland, England, Wales, and North Ireland.
Is after them.
Who remain here well cared for so we can decide what to do.
This is really third grade stuff, wisdom show. Seriously. Unfortunately, in America, we are very ignorant of geography. I taught geography. That's my shit.
So I'm asking you, Cujo. Great Britain is before what they call now the United Kingdom, correct?
The moniker was used before the United Kingdom thing. Yeah, I forget when that's pretty late in the game. Yeah, posterior thought the British, they became the British, and that was 1776, what you're talking about. That's like 60 years. More. Yeah, wait, not 60, my bad. 40 years after Great Britain formed. So, yeah, you're right. They said the British would come. They didn't say the English would come. But when they landed in 1607, they were English. They weren't British. John Smith was an Englishman. He wasn't British. What's his name? The Hebrews like to say he black. The Bible dude. King James. He was the king of England. He was king of England in Ireland actually, at that time. They conquered Ireland. Yeah, British East India Company was formulated in I think 1740s, 1740, 1750.
Yeah.
I was just reading.
You're right. You're right with that.
Yeah, you're right on that.
Yeah, Great Britain and United Kingdom. But trust me, within that same island, that same Great Britain, the Scottish don't call themselves British.
I mean, I met Scots who did distinguish themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because we went out drinking and shit. You know what I'm saying? I had to work with them for like 2 weeks with bullshit.
No, actually, no. Stupid.
Yeah.
You just correct yourself and you're going to say the other thing. They're supposed to say the Scottish don't call themselves English.
Yeah, they don't call themselves English at all.
Right. Yeah. They would call themselves British because Britain and UK are basically the same thing.
They don't call
themselves. They don't even call themselves British.
Yeah, they do. They don't call themselves English.
Because they say British. British on the other hand refers to anything from Great Britain, meaning anyone who lives in Scotland, Wales, or England are considered British.
The reason why they don't call, let me tell you, the reason why they don't call themselves British is out of pride, because they used to be an independent state before they were conquered by the English, and the English carried over the name.
They weren't necessarily conquered. It was counted wars that went on between the English.
Yeah, and over time, England win.
Now they married their way into. You know how you marry like a king will marry a queen here and all that shit. It wasn't like they went up there and smacked them in the face and said, "You're gonna be part of this." They consolidated the crown to control the whole island. I mean, it's politics. But like the brother said, they really have an aversion to being called English, and that's how come I got cool with them, because I knew the difference. They were surprised because they was like, Americans are so fucking stupid when it comes to geography. So they fuck with me. I got drunk as shit. I enjoyed it. Yeah, Celtic is not an English language. Celtic there is no Celtic language anymore. Besides Gaelic, my bad, Gaelic. Gaelic is a Celtic language. That could be argued though, to be honest, but Gaelic it's not an official language. But some people still speak it in Ireland. and some parts of Scotland, because they're related to the Irish.
Yeah.
So what I was saying, just to bring up the England, I'm just saying how you have other countries that form. Like you have France. France was founded by the French. The French aren't the only tribe in France now. However, they all those former Gaelic tribes, Gaelic and various Germanic tribes, be they Visigoths or the Gauls, they came under the banner of the French. So now they call themselves French. But in actuality, they're a collection of tribes just like they are in Nigeria. But there was so much war that made them French. That hasn't happened in Nigeria yet. Not nobody telling you that this is your nation. I mean, at least that's what history tells. I'm not saying it's not possible. I don't know. Wisdom shows some people argue that that the Britons weren't even Celts. Some people argue that. I read something recently about how they weren't Celtic. They were more than likely another like a Scandinavian group. But I roll with them being Celts.
No, but the British are amalgamation of many groups. Because remember that they were part of them came from the Vikings. A lot of Vikings settled in Britain.
Yeah,
a lot of Vikings
came
settled in Britain.
Yep, no question. Yeah, that was it's like Dane law. When the Dane law, that's the way they set up the farms and shit. We still use it now. Well, we used it when we, as far as the United States, used it when they set up plantations. They used the Dane law system, which came from the Vikings who attacked. Who
remember,
attacked the British out.
When the Romans
but 1066 is the pivotal year. Like 1066, when I say 1066, everybody should know that because this world that we live in is predicated off of that. Beyond
what happened in
it's one of the many things is predicated off.
What happened in 1066? 1066.
That was the Battle of Hastings. That's when the Normans conquered England. The Normans conquered England. That's how come English has so many Latin words in it. English is a Germanic language. However, it has more than 60% of the language is from Latin derivatives. Those Latin derivatives come through the Norman conquest. And this is why we say things like romance. That's why romance means something good to us. Because the poor people who they conquered didn't use words like romance. The rich people did. So that's why we look at it as fancy to this day.
All right, so question. All right. But when the Romans were in Britain first, right? The Romans were in Britain.
Yes. They were, they were confronted by people when they were there, but yes. Yeah, the Romans went to Britain.
If the Romans went to Britain, they carried legions to Britain. They interbreeded there, and then they were forced out. So
they weren't forced out. They left. Caesar failed actually. I forgot the dude who went back and actually took over, but shit was going so fucked up in the on the continent that they left. They actually left, but you still had like the aristocracy in that area. Still tried to maintain the Roman control, but they eventually lost it and they fell back into their pre-Roman roots to the point that they they thought they seen the big buildings that the Romans had built and thought the giants had built. They didn't even know how to fucking shit.
So they returned to a period of
they were isolated. Yeah, they were like when the Romans went to England, or what we call England, to the British Isles. When they went there, they were still riding fucking chariots and shit. And chariots had fell out of fashion for a few hundred years by that time. But they were still like Caesar laughed. He laughed at them. He mocked them because he looked at them as so much below him. And they completely destroyed Boudica.
Because all right, so the Romans left. Because the continent, Rome was falling to pieces. The Germanic tribes were the Visigoths.
Yeah, the Germans, the Angles, they came from Saxony. That's why we say Anglo-Saxon. Right. They came from
we're at the door.
Saxon, and which is what we would call Germany now. There was no real Germany. And yeah, they went there, and they saw. Some people say that they attacked like the Vikings and all that shit, but there's no evidence. It was more likely a settlement, and they eventually took over. I mean, they came from a larger, like we said earlier. The British they were isolated. You know what I'm saying? So these Anglo-Saxons went over there with their new farming techniques and this knowledge that came from the European mainland.
Yeah, because they brought the plow. They brought the plow
Yeah,
to. They brought the plow to England.
yeah, they completely controlled it. I think it was like from the fourth century. I mean, the first century. I think 43 AD until 1066. I'm not good with numbers. I'm dyslexic, so I'll say the numbers back. But I think it was like 40. I know it's the first century AD until 1066. That was the Anglo-Saxon. The Welsh were a different people. To the point that
So
the
if we look
Welsh.
at it, all right, let me ask you this question. If we be honest and we look at that, we look at most European civilization that exists today, even America, have a high density of the Germanic tribes. Am I wrong in assuming that?
Northwestern Europe, yes, and the United States, no doubt.
And the United States, because almost
There was actually argued when the Continental Congress. It was actually argued should they make German the official language of the United States instead of English. That was actually an argument to have because there were so many Germans, yes, and they didn't want to identify with me. After during the war, the Revolutionary War. Yeah,
yeah,
no question.
because most of the white people in America is of German descent.
I would say yes.
And if we trace it back through Europe, a lot of the white people in Europe now is of German descent.
I would say Northern Europe. I mean, we can't like just lump them all together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like anywhere above
Northern
France.
Europe.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not quite that far north. Because the Nordic people would, may argue that they're not Germanic, like the Danes and all that, but they are. But like
But they are.
The French are truly Latinized people. Though, see, culturally, so like genetically, they're very similar to the Germans. Even their language is similar, somewhat. Not, it's more similar than any other Roman because of their proximity people dealt with. But we got to understand that like France was France before Germany was Germany.
Right.
You had the Habsburgs, you had various different families. I don't think Germany formed until like the 1800s. The Germany that we know of today formed like the 1800s. You had various families. But King Philip, who was the king of Spain and France during the colonial period, was a German.
No, but most kings in Europe are of German descent. If you look at the lineage, most of the royal families are of German descent.
I roll that. I will roll with that. Yes.
Germans have them shit together.
Yeah, but they didn't. They didn't. There was no Germany. They had a lot of money, and they controlled a lot of farmland. To be honest, that's what they had because they had the bulk of Europe. You got to think about. You have places like Prussia. You know what I'm saying, which is a forgotten thing. You know what I mean? Where no one talks about Prussia, but from an ethnic standpoint, they were Germans as well.
They were Germans too.
Yeah, from an ethnic standpoint, just like the Austrians are German. You know what I'm saying?
Austrians, the Persian, and the land that
just,
we call German.
Just like the Dutch. The Dutch are German. The Germans call Germany Deutschland. That's the German word for Germany is Deutschland. Land of the Dutch. That's what they call themselves. But they distinguish themselves as well. They're different because Dutch is a different language than German. But it's very.
If we look in history, the Romans would have called them barbarians.
Yeah, we conflate that. You know what I'm saying? Because the Greeks actually said that bar shit. The Romans called people pagans if you weren't a Roman. You got the bar. They got that from the Greeks. The whole bar thing, but they refer to you as a pagan. That's where we get it from.
Were their culture barbaric in terms of when compared to the Romans?
I don't like to look at civilization and shit like that from a European standpoint. I think that those Germans were pretty organized and self sufficient. So, but they didn't have these big ass buildings and stuff, like
So
the Romans did.
they didn't have the technology like the Romans to build.
No, they didn't have.
Or the desire.
Rome is a product of the Mediterranean. That it's no coincidence that you see all these cultures in the Mediterranean because it was interaction of all these peoples in the Mediterranean. The Romans, I mean, the Germans were the Alps away. You know what I'm saying? Remember Hannibal going over the Alps and all that shit?
Right.
In northern Italy? You had to go cross the Alps to get to Germany, or you either had to cross the Rubicon and go through France, what they call Gaul back in the day, and then make a shot right and go up. That would be Germany.
All right. I'm going
to geographically.
I'm going to be an asshole and ask an asshole question now. So you said Germany was, you said the Romans were a Mediterranean culture, and we find that Mediterranean cultures like to build. Mediterranean culture.
I mean, they didn't. I don't think they built because they were so smart. They built because that was the only way they could defend themselves from other groups in the Mediterranean. You got to stay up. It was like a technological race. You know what I'm saying? Similar to what happened in Africa a few thousand years later with the slave trade. You had people trading for these European goods. You know what I'm saying? Like they was
classes. So would you call Egypt a Mediterranean culture?
Yes, it became yes. It's part of the Mediterranean culture. Yes, it's an African culture, but yes, it's one of the Mediterranean culture. You had the Phoenicians coming out of Asia. You had the Greek-speaking peoples coming out of Europe initially, and Anatolia, because they're actually not. There was really no Greece like we're taught. There was really no Greece, until the time of Alexander. That's when you had your actual Greece. But to be quite honest, you really didn't have a Greece until the Romans. As a matter of fact, the word Greek is a Latin word. Well, actually, it's not a Latin word, but the Romans named those people, the Hellenes, they called them Gracchus because there was a colony of Greek-speaking people who were in Italy, and the Romans just referred to all of them as Gracchus, and it was an insult. That's like I don't like when they say Greco-Roman culture because the Romans. They recognize them, but they still look at them like they want shit.
But why? No. But why? I believe that the Germans had mad respect for the Greeks, and this is why I believe that because
the Germans wouldn't probably even know about Greece. To be honest,
no. I'm talking about the Romans. The Romans had mad respect for the Greeks because they used the Greek gods. Most of the Roman gods were Greek gods.
Yeah. You could say that. When we look at it now, and that's the way we're told the story. So you got Jupiter, there's Zeus. You know what I'm saying? But these gods were common. These particular godheads with different names were common throughout the region. You know what I'm saying? Jupiter was just a Roman take on Zeus. You see what I'm saying? But the Romans did actually have their own mythos. And that's where you get the Romulus and Remus thing. The Romulus and Remus thing. Like Rome was more based on the worship of Mars, the god of war. You know what I'm saying? Rome was more based on that. They claim to descend from Mars, who founded the city of Troy, which is a fictional place. But they consider themselves to be to actually descend from, because Romulus and Remus' father was supposedly, that's Mars. That's how come their new year was in March. You know what I'm saying? That's why their New Year's in March. And then Caesar was killed to add to March.
Beware the eyes of March.
Yeah, beware the eyes of March. Yeah, I say that shit every year on Facebook. Nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking
about. they need to read Julius Caesar.
Yeah, man, Julius Caesar is a fascinating person. I mean, one of the most fascinating historical figures, honestly.
William Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, et tu Brutus. It is said that Brutus was his son, Historians believe that Brutus was his son. That's what I'm saying. You too,
Brutus like a son. Et tu, and you, Brutus. Yeah, et tu. I took Latin in school. Et tu, Brutus. Yeah. Yeah, Greeks are Hellenes, but the Greeks didn't refer. The Hellenes didn't refer to themselves as Greeks. The Romans did. You know, the concept, like the way we're taught about it, is like Athens, Sparta, Corinth, Athens, Sparta. Yeah, we're taught like you had this Greek place, but nah, it was like little say.
It was city
tribes.
states. It was city
Yeah,
states.
we say
And
city states, but we don't talk
and
about Africa like city states. So I'm gonna call them motherfuckers out. They were just fucking
all right.
tribes.
So you remind me of
Towns.
somebody when you should listen to. He called them when the tribe of Europe go to war, they call it World War. So
Yeah,
him don't
fuck
call him say him call them
But
tribes. Him say France is that tribe when the tribe of Europe. Him call it all of them tribes because they refer to us as tribal people. And they are as much as tribal as we were, or as we are. But they use different names to distinguish themselves. Because these little people that came together, Alexander brought them together.
yeah,
And he
forcibly.
made the
Besides Sparta, he never conquered Sparta. He never conquered Sparta. He left them alone. He didn't conquer Sparta. He went east to Hellespont. Went east into Anatolia to take land that he thought was his. And that's when he crossed the Hellespont, he called that land Asia. And that simply meant east. That's all it meant. East. Take the lands to the east. That's all it meant. When he crossed the Hellespont. And I know that, like people who want to talk about African history all the time, this seems irrelevant. However, this is world history and it's part of the formation of the world in which we live. It can't be denied.
But he conquered Egypt too.
Yeah, easily. Because Egypt was under the dominion of the Persians. And at that time, what was it? Xerxes? Was it Xerxes? It wasn't Darius. It was Xerxes. Yeah, Xerxes. That might have been Darius. I always get them mixed up. Um, but yeah, they were under. Yeah, it was pretty easy for him to walk into Egypt. As a matter of fact,
But
it was pretty easy.
what technology did he have? What
He had
technology?
what he had was called the Phalanx, which was a group of like 12 or more foot soldiers who with extremely long spears, and they walked in a very tight formation. It's like what a modern tank would be. You know what I'm saying? It was something that had never been seen in that number, and he had a very, very strong cavalry, very strong cavalry. And to be quite honest, the Persians hadn't really been challenged, in quite a while. They had been ruling for a minute. They hadn't been challenged. They just won back, they just figured sheer numbers, but he won a few decisive battles, and it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But he died, and the Romans came on the scene. He had Carthage and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? He had, with Hannibal Barca's, with Hamilcar, Hannibal's father. You know what I'm saying? They call
Because
Hannibal the African